Go for it. Welcome back, Rangers Ed family. I am your host on the road as usual, Little Ed, and we are here with you this week for episode 166, sponsored by Lucarelli Law. If you're in New York or Florida and need some legal advice, reach out to Dom Lucarelli and tell him Rangers Ed sent you. I'm joined this week by my co-host, as always, Coach Ed. This week we're also joined by our producers, Nick and Dom, and our in-house statistician, Isaac. We got an exciting one for you guys this week as we look to preview this Friday's NHL draft, and we will be joined later on this episode by NHL Network analyst, host, and broadcaster, and most importantly, friend of the show, EJ Hradek, to give us his thoughts as well, maybe his predictions, and kind of want to pick his brain about what's been going on with the league, and more specifically, Team USA hockey players. But we'll get into that in a few minutes. So let's first catch up with the boys. Coach, happy Father's Day. Did you have a nice weekend/holiday?
Had a great day, beautiful weather. Had a nice barbecue over by Lindsay's dad's, and you were there, and we all had a good time. A lot of laughs. Good stuff. That's what it's all about, fellas.
Shout out to them for a nice little boat ride. And when Coach Ed got back from the boat ride, that's when he didn't bring his phone with him. So that's when I broke the news about Brady Tkachuk as soon as he stepped off the boat and he almost fell off the dock in shock. But like I said, we'll get into that in a few minutes. We can't skip out on that. Us Ranger fans always have to make it about us. So we're going to compare Brady Tkachuk's return to Artemi's return. But yeah, like I said, we'll get to that in a few minutes. Dom's rocking that awesome Eddie Jockman shirt we just discussed backstage. That might have to be incorporated into the inside of the crease logo, Dom. So we might have to workshop that idea. But I also want to pick your brain in a few minutes about the Hall of Fame inductees. But how was your Father's Day with your dad? You guys do anything fun?
Yeah, no, my dad's birthday's on the 20th, so he's got Father's Day and his birthday, so he had a nice weekend.
Nice. Very cool. How about you guys, Nick, Isaac? How you guys doing since the last episode?
Doing all right. Father's Day was pretty quiet. We both, him and I both had to work, so we spent the day at work and then hung out at home with my brother and my mom. So it was a pretty quiet night, but it was good.
Nice. Isaac? You're on mute, bud.
Mine was pretty good. We went for dinner with the family. It was obviously Father's Day. And it was also my brother's birthday. So nice little double celebration there.
Look at that. Look at that. A lot of celebrating this weekend. And Coach Ed did a great job helping me with some of our crafts. We got a nice festival or craft fair on Saturday, Summerfest out in Baiting Hollow. I unfortunately won't be there. Shout out to my buddy and college friend / dentist, Dr. Chris Szilard, for his incoming baby. We got a baby shower coming up. So Coach Ed and his girlfriend Kathy are going to hold down the fort and sell some of my stuff and host that or help host that event. So definitely looking forward to seeing how well my stuff did or does. Made some nice Nick stuff I'll be posting this week on Instagram, so check us out. And as always, head on over to YouTube. If you're listening to this episode on audio, head on over to YouTube and give us a follow or subscribe. And check out all of our video content. Got a lot of good bonus content over there. Inside the Ranger Room episodes that we don't always release the audio. Things like that. Coach Ed's commercial, as always. Shout out to Bella Italia. Actually, real quick, last couple episodes, we didn't really shout out or give our other sponsors their fair share. So I just want to quickly shout out Sorrento's on the West End, as always. Some of the best pizza and Italian food in Long Beach and probably Long Island. Everything's made fresh. Custom pizzas. You always hear us talking about that. Old Country Ceramic Tile. I passed by them today in Port Jeff, Coach, when I was on my way to the ferry. I was like, oh, shit, there it is. So I never actually saw their Port Jeff location. Only the one in Westbury, so definitely check them out. And I already said Bella. Who else we got? Suitor Sweet Treats reached out to Coach Ed on Father's Day. Very nice of them to do that. They're the best. Who else am I forgetting, Coach? What other sponsors we got? Oscar's Pro Stitch. We met Oscar. You guys saw
Last
Oscar a
week.
few weeks ago on an episode. I think that's it. Am I forgetting
I
anybody?
think that covers it.
That covers it. All right, so let's get into it. We had some big news. Real quick, the Hall of Fame inductees were announced today before we get into the Brady Tkachuk situation. Hall of Fame inductees, first one didn't really surprise anybody. Patrice Bergeron, first ballot Hall of Famer. He's also getting his number retired this season by the Bruins. Second, Carey Price, another goalie, Pekka Rinne, and last but not least, Keith Tkachuk as the players. Builder was Brian Burke, and there was one other player. What was it? Curly, something Curly, Coach. I think that's before our time.
I didn't see that. What's his name,
What's his first-
guys?
Simon Curly or something like that. Sandy Curly. I forget, but
Cindy Curley.
Cindy Curly.
Pretty curly.
Is that a girl?
Yes.
Maybe.
Yeah.
I thought it was Sydney. I think I heard on the radio. I was like, oh, I've never heard that guy before. But that's funny. Sydney Curly. Who'd she play for?
Doesn't have it listed. I think
U.S. Women's National Ice Hockey Team from 1987 to 1996.
Wow.
There you go.
Okay, yeah. So a little bit before our time, I guess. Way before women's hockey really got popular or started to get popular. So shout out to Sydney. Jeez, I said Sydney again. Cindy Curly. Sorry if I offended anyone by not knowing who she was, but like I said, a little bit before our time. But obviously much deserved getting into the Hall of Fame. So back to the players. Obviously, Patrice Bergeron, like I said, pretty. I don't know. No one's going to argue that one. First ballot, one of the best defensive forwards of all time, if not the best. I think they should rename the Selke after him at this point. But Dom, inside the crease, real quick segment. What are your thoughts on Carey Price and Pekka getting into this year's Hall, whatever, inductee class?
Yeah, both guys phenomenal. Both put out a cup as well. So that's pretty interesting. They usually judge it with that in mind. Yeah, I definitely listen, stat wise, Pekka Rinne is a monster, a 917 save percentage and a 2.43 for 683 games is crazy on the Predators as well, when a lot of the years they weren't in playoff contention. And also Carey Price, a 917 save percentage as well, and a 2.51 in 712 games. Obviously, the end of his career was a little mysterious and kind of retired quietly, but both goalies well deserving. I'm a little surprised they got in this early, but both well deserving. I just think that cup would have really projected them more into the spot more securely, but they made it, and I have no problem with it.
Yeah, I don't necessarily have a problem with it. I mean, I'm not going to lose sleep over it, but it does seem like they're almost trying too hard to get more goalies in there. I mean, if you guys can look up real quick, goalies versus players in the Hall of Fame. I mean, obviously, there's going to be more players. That's just how it works than goalies. But I just feel over the last couple of years, they're making sure they put in, I feel at least two goalies every class. Ever since the Lundqvist class, the Lundqvist class was very heavy goaltending. And since then, they've been putting in, I feel 2 or 3 goalies every year.
This is already 5 years ago, but so I guess from 2021 and the 20 years before that, there were only 6 goalies inducted into the Hall of Fame over that 20-year span. So it was very strict on goalies, at least before.
Yeah, so I guess I'm not wrong on that. Recently they have been a little bit more lenient with that. I mean, if you only go with goalies who have won cups, that makes it pretty difficult, I feel like.
Also, I mean,
I don't know. I don't know if
Mike Richter is not even the Hall of Fame either. Chris Osgood
how does Richter not get in, but Pekka Rinne does?
Exactly. So Chris Osgood isn't. Andy Mogg isn't. He's a little older, but those guys are all really, really good Stanley Cup. At least Mike Richter is Stanley Cup winning goalie. Chris Osgood is too, right? Yeah, Chris Osgood.
Yeah, he
won a couple of cups.
Yeah, so I don't know. I mean,
I don't see personally how Richter's not in and Pecorine and Carey Price get in.
Exactly.
Personally. I mean,
No, I agree.
Richter was phenomenal
Team
for that
USA
era.
also. He's in the USA.
He's in the USA Hockey Hall of Fame. He got
Yeah.
inducted, but not in Toronto. And he won the He was in the All-Star game. He won the All-Star game, the Cup. He won the World Cup. That
When
was
the
a big
All-Star game was
upset
really
that year.
competitive, yeah.
Yeah, he won the MVP. It was a different game. I don't know. I think that's kind of a slap in the face to him. I mean, maybe his longevity didn't make it. Maybe that's why. But he had to play as long as Carey Price. No.
Yeah, I was gonna say Price and Pekka both kind of ended their careers a little short because of injuries, right? Pekka got concussion issues.
Yeah, and he had 666 game plays. So I think Carey Price had 712. So
And what did Richter have here?
Richter had 666, and he
So
had a 2.89 goals against and a .904 save percentage. So again, and especially in the 90s too, when goaltending wasn't as good as. All right, I don't want to get Coach Ed.
And the biggest thing for me, the biggest thing for me that just popped into my head, Richter is an ambassador for the game. He works for the Rangers. You see him everywhere. When was the last time you saw Carey Price? Anywhere.
Yeah.
At the draft when he couldn't pronounce their draft pick's name.
That is true, but also I think the player inductee is specifically for players, you know? Like I don't think it's about off ice.
As far as a player goes, it's not going in as a builder or whatever. Yeah, I get it.
Also, Price does have a very rare
what?
Sorry, I was gonna say Price has the very rare Hart Trophy Vezina Trophy combo.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, which you could also argue. But
Richter doesn't have a Vezina either, which is kind of crazy to me.
Yeah, that's a little shocking as well.
Yeah, like it's the biggest crime to me that Hank only had one. You know,
that's crazy too. Yeah, I mean, it really goes to show you how hard all these awards are to win. Honestly,
I mean, Richter's era, he had Hasek, you had some pretty good goalies back then. Belfour was involved at that time.
Hasek, Brodeur,
Brodeur.
Yeah, but it's pretty competitive.
Did Richter hit 300 wins? What is he?
Yes, he's at 301.
He was
300 wins isn't a significant amount. I mean, I think that's pretty good. I don't know.
He was the all-time wins leader until Hank broke it.
Yeah. Last but not least on this list, Keith Tkachuk waited a long time to get his call to the Hall. Coach, I mean, I don't really remember much of him playing, but I'm sure you do. This will be a nice segue into his son or sons playing for Florida. What were your thoughts on watching Keith Tkachuk in his day?
I mean, again, back then it wasn't on TV as much as it is now, but he was just that prototypical power forward back then. He was a big part of those heated rivalries in the playoffs, and tough guy, a lot like Brady. I would compare him to as far as size wise, and he wasn't like, I think he might have scored 40 goals a couple of times back then. I'm not sure. I kind of remember him that. I think he's a little more offensive than Brady, but he was like that kind of player. I don't think he wasn't as pesky as Matthew and as quick. Matthew Tkachuk's kind of like a quicker skater than Brady. Brady and Mate. We'll get into that.
No, I mean now's the time. I mean, if you have nothing else to say about Keith, congratulations to him. I know he's one of the guys that didn't win a cup, right? He came up short a time or two.
I believe so. Yeah,
but I think 500 goals. I mean, like you said, he was just like a different type of player. But yeah, he's one of those, like he was one of those unicorn type players, and that's exactly what Brady and Matthew are. So that'll segue into that. Like I said before, or alluded to before, Ranger fans always find a way to make it about us, right? So we were seeing earlier today is fans complaining about the return for Brady versus the return for Panarin. Similar situations, no move clauses. Brady, of course, has 2 years left on his deal. Panarin didn't have any at the time, had to sign that extension with LA. So I guess it's a slightly different situation there. But like I said, fans were a little upset comparing the two players. Coach, I'll hand this one over to you. You weren't really alive in the group chat today. You were catching up later on or yesterday, whenever that was. What are your thoughts, or what were your initial thoughts when I gave you that news on the boat dock there at Lindsay's parents' house?
I mean, I'm very happy for him. It's in a great situation. He's playing with his brother. Obviously, a very good chance of them winning a cup again now, especially. And disappointed because anybody who listens to the show knows that for the last 2 years, I wanted to throw the bank and just give him whatever, give the team whatever they. We had a lot of people to give to Ottawa to get him. I wanted that guy. He's just like you said, a unicorn. The thing with him, I watch him play. He has that ability. I guess his father. I didn't, like I said, I don't remember that much, but he has that ability to just go up to the edge where he doesn't get a penalty, but he's right there. Like he's on top of the crease, but not in the crease. He interferes with the defenseman, but it's not a penalty. He does all these little things that just gets under their skin at the right time. He times it impeccably when you watch him play and the toughness. But again, the only mistake I feel he made was trying to fight Jordan Staal in game one, taking him out for 5 minutes against Jordan Staal. I take Jordan Staal every time. And I think that hurt them as far as setting the tone on the series. But he tried to do what he needed to do for the team. And that's what he's about. You know, he'll do anything that he needs to do to win. So they're getting a great, great player for sure.
Yeah, I mean, I'll piggyback off that real quick before Isaac throws some stats at us, comparing him to Panarin. But I think that's really what separates him from any player, really. It's like those intangibles. I mean, I listened to the radio all day today. Everyone was saying the same thing. He's not like that superstar. He's not in like that top echelon conversation, but he's still in that conversation somehow. His name always comes up. It's always like, even Matthew, he's not like that superstar that's going to blow you away on the score sheet and stuff, but their name always comes up. They're the competitors. They'll literally do anything to win, where I just don't see that in players like Panarin. I mean, obviously, we'll probably see it in 2 years, him taking a huge pay cut to stay in Florida, which might not be the best example, but even if it was in Florida, I feel like he's the type of player that would take the pay cut to win a Stanley Cup. We already saw Panarin, who immediately signed the 2-year, $22 million deal to be in LA. That's not taking a pay cut to try to win a cup. That's kind of tying your team up a little bit for the next 2 years as you decline as a player, in my opinion.
Yeah.
But Isaac, what's been said around around Twitter or around social media, or what are your thoughts on the situation?
I mean, my thoughts. I mean, I think Brady's a very good player. Obviously, my thing was also, like you were saying before, people are comparing the Brady return to the Panarin return, and obviously it's like a little bit of a different situation. But like, and I know that Greentree was a first round pick, but I feel like it was very odd that the Rangers couldn't even land like a first round like draft pick in this year's draft. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think Brady's a good player. I think he does bring those intangibles. The one thing I will know that's funny to me, though, is that he didn't put up any points in the playoffs. Having said that, though, I'm looking at his stats now. He did have 7 points in 6 games for Ottawa last year in the playoffs.
Yeah, last year he had a great playoff, I remember.
Yeah.
I mean, he did play Carolina this year, who obviously ended up winning the cup. That's no excuse. I mean, he threw down with Jordan Staal in game one. I still think, I can't disagree with you at all there. Like, he should still find a way to find the score sheet. But like I said, I think like the big thing is like, yeah, fighting Jordan Staal, like trying to get the game. We watched those games, and I remember he was doing everything he could. Carolina was just suffocating in that series.
Yeah,
you know,
my thing is that I don't know if he is necessarily, if he can be the guy on a cup team, but on Florida now it's a perfect fit. He doesn't have to be. They have Barkov, they have Matthew Tkachuk, they can roll out now a line of Tkachuk, Bennett, Tkachuk, and that's just going to terrorize the league. And then throw Marchand in there too.
It's crazy. Yeah, it's crazy.
I mean,
Nick,
to me,
go ahead.
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Nick, what are your thoughts, or what were your initial thoughts on the whole situation?
Honestly, I was waiting for Ashton Kutcher and the camera crews to come out. I thought I was getting punked when I saw this. It just didn't seem real. But honestly, if Florida can find a way, if Bill Zito can find a way, he'll find it. So to be able to pull this off, I mean, I put it in there. I wanted to ask the question: when healthy, are the Panthers with this trade one of if not the best team in the league? or is there anybody that can compare to them?
That top 9, man, that's nothing to me. You can't mess with that.
In my
they
mind,
don't even need a fourth line.
In my mind, when healthy this year, they were one of the best teams in the league. It's just that they never were healthy this year, and then you add a 70-point player on top of that.
Yeah, I mean, the 70 points is what, to me, if anyone who listens to the podcast, I'm big on the whole leadership thing. I mean, adding him into that locker room without the drama that was in Ottawa and all that stuff. I mean, there's what, 6 or 7 Olympians in that top 9. That's crazy. That's wild to me. Literally, just crazy. Coach, what were you going to say before? Do you remember that? Before we went
the big difference between, to me, the Panarin Brady Tkachuk situation is, there's two things. You were talking about Panarin getting all the points. Don't forget, the Panthers traded Huberdeau, who was a over 100-point player, to get Matthew.
Yeah, but Matthew also was an 100-point player.
Yeah, not as dynamic as Huberdeau, I don't think.
That's true. I mean, Huberdeau I think was a Hart nominee.
Yeah, but not the same kind of player as Huberdeau as far as skill wise.
No, definitely. At least
he might have got the 100 points, but it wasn't like Huberdeau can.
He got the 100 points when he was playing with Gaudreau, right?
Matthew Tkachuk got his 100 points
in Florida or Calgary.
His first season. Oh no, he had back-to-back. He had 104 his last season in Calgary and 109 his first season in Florida.
Wow.
Along with those 100 points, the intangibles that Eddie's talking about.
Yeah.
But also don't forget, the first year
that puts him into another level.
The first year they lost the Stanley Cup, or no, they lost in the Eastern Conference Final or something.
Florida, the first year in Florida, they lost in the final to Vegas. That was his first year.
I thought there was 1 year in between that, but whatever. Either way, but then he clearly might have taken a step back to worry about a little bit more about defense and things like that, and not have the 100 points.
Still 88 points in 80 games. That's still really good for Tkachuk.
He's a good player.
Now the other thing, as far as the return, I heard on the radio today, Ottawa's hand wasn't forced. So Brady gave him a few teams he wanted to go to, and it wasn't broadcast. I'm sure in Ottawa there were a lot of rumors at the trade deadline, if I remember, but nothing was like the Panarin situation where the Rangers were kind of in a turmoil trying to unload Trouba, unloading Kreider, and now it was Panarin. Mika wouldn't go. So the other teams knew that the Rangers were kind of in a desperate mode. And Bill Zito, whoever said that before, Bill Zito said Bill Zito's going to get it done. So Bill Zito probably called the GM or his manager and said, what do we need to do to get this done? And to me, that's a no-brainer. 3 first-round picks in a second. Come on. You're getting one of the best quality players in the league.
And also, what I was going to add to it before is a big difference other than the actual player is Panarin had no term left. Brady's got 2 years left at $8 million,
Correct.
Which is a steal for someone like him, in my opinion. So that's obviously a huge factor. You have to give up a little bit more to have that 2-year contract under your belt. I mean, it's just
Panarin said, I'm not signing for less than this money, so the Rangers were handcuffed.
That's the biggest. That was the biggest thing that annoyed me, as I said it before, is he's not willing to take a pay cut. I mean, you might say $11 million is a pay cut for Panarin, but at this stage of his career, I don't think it is. I mean, if he had a chance to sign that with the Rangers, I don't think we would have been very happy. I don't know.
I think what I had heard with Panarin, what I remember reading, is that at the beginning of the year, Panarin felt that the Rangers lowballed him, and then that kind of was he was okay, I'm probably going to get moved, so let me start figuring that out. Also, with Tkachuk, I saw that he gave a list of teams, but then Ottawa's GM today, he had a media conference, and he said all signs were really pointing toward one team at the end of the day, which I find very weird. So which was it? Did he give the 4-team list, or did he say, I only really want to go to Florida?
Well, he probably leaned towards it, but they didn't announce it. It didn't leak out.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? With Panarin, he's I want to go to LA. That's it. So now the Rangers are handcuffed. Like I said, I said that a few weeks ago. I felt like he screwed the team over big time because he was
I thought
bitter
that came out
probably
after
about
he
the.
was traded. Unless I'm wrong,
What's
I thought that came out. I thought that came out after Panarin was traded. That he said he only wanted to go to LA.
There was a lot of rumors going on. Elliot Friedman tossed a lot of stuff out there. I don't.
Yeah,
I
there was a
don't.
lot. I remember like he liked their uniforms, or that might have been a joke. There was a lot of like weird stuff. I can't remember
I just don't
specifically the
feel. Yeah, I
timeline.
just
I
feel
remember
like
Emily Kaplan definitely said like it was always LA. It was always LA, or I don't know, whatever.
I mean, like I
I
said,
also
2 years left on his contract, Brady. He wants to go to Florida, and they got what they needed to get, or he could have stayed in Ottawa. So both sides knew what they wanted, and they agreed to it. There wasn't one person or the other with the leverage.
Yeah,
Yeah,
So
the
to me, it
2
was
years
more of
left
a
on is
fair
probably
deal.
the biggest thing.
it is. It definitely
Yeah.
is.
Well, I think the other teams were.
The
I think
Rangers
it
were
was
stuck because they didn't want to sign him.
Oh, my bad.
I'm sorry, Dom.
I was just saying. No. I was just saying the other teams. I think were Carolina, Vegas, and I don't know the fourth team.
Minnesota, I think it was.
Minnesota. Okay.
Yep.
So I mean, there's not too much.
The same
What do you
exact list as Dylan Larkin.
Yeah. So like, it's it also brings up the point where it's like, is this going to be a problem moving forward? I think we talked about it before, like with players with the no movement clauses, like wanting the same teams over and over, and it's like it's going to present more problems in the future because it's going to handcuff teams now. I mean, we didn't see it now in this instance because they got a pretty decent return back, but that could be a problem, especially for somebody like Dylan Larkin who's good, but wouldn't get the return like Brady Tkachuk. Like, it's going to start to handcuff more and more teams, I think.
Well, it's going to come down to whereas like eventually it's going to balance itself out where like there's going to be a little bit more parity, like because right now like obviously those four teams is like kind of where everybody wants to go, right? But like eventually like those four teams just won't have the not equity, what was the assets. The assets to do it, so then it's like, all right, if you want to leave, you have to like broaden your list a little bit or whatever, like I know when the Dylan Larkin stuff came out, they said that they have those four teams, but then there's also a few other teams that he hasn't made public or whatever, so like it's like, yeah, I want like these are the four teams, but then there's also like five or six total teams that we don't hear about or something. But I hear you though. It's definitely gonna be a problem. I want to definitely pick EJ Hradek's brain about that later on, because I'm sure he's got an opinion about it, and they were talking about it all day long on the radio. And it is going to be an interesting situation. Either GMs are going to put their foot down and not hand out the no move clauses, which then is going to be a whole players association problem, and God forbid there's another lockout or something. So they definitely got to figure it out. I'm sure they will. But either way, I think it's not necessarily a bad thing, but there's got to be more than just four teams where everybody wants to go. So we'll see what happens there. All right, let's get into I guess what the episode is really about. We just spent half an hour talking about the latest news, but let's get into the draft preview stuff. We have a little bit of a fun, I guess, game or situation for you guys. We're going to run a few draft simulators where the draft simulator is going to do the first four picks that aren't the Rangers, and then we're going to have a chance to pick the fifth pick, the Rangers pick, together. Isaac has provided us with some stats for some of these potential draft picks, so we'll go through some of those, and we'll just see how this goes. This is kind of a new thing for us, so hang in with us. And also, I understand that my video might be a little choppy. The hotel I'm at isn't the newest and greatest, so their Wi-Fi is a little choppy. So I apologize in advance for that. So hang in with me as long as you can hear me. You don't necessarily have to see me right now. So as long as you can see the draft board, I think that's what's most important. So, Nick, let's go with the first one here. Like I said, Rangers obviously have the fifth pick. So Nick's going to click the button to start the draft. It might take a little bit, but it's going to go through the first four picks for us. And then we'll have a chance to make that fifth overall pick. And then we'll have another chance to make the 26th overall pick.
I like in this one that Toronto passed up on McKenna.
All right.
Of course, the first one is
who was taken 4? Did it say?
Let's go back to. Can you go back real quick before we go?
Yep.
Malhotra. Okay.
So far we got Ivar Stenberg with Toronto, Gavin McKenna at 2 with San Jose, Chase Reed at 3 with Vancouver, and Caleb Malhotra goes to Chicago at 4. So who is our pick, boys? What do we got? How do you say that?
Vigo Bjork.
Keaton Verhoff, Carson Carrolls, Albert Smits. So Isaac, why don't you take us through since Vigo Bjork is first on there? Take us through some of the stats here.
So in the SHL this season, he had 42 games played, 6 goals, 9 assists, 15 points. In the playoffs, he had 1 goal, 2 assists, and 3 points in 3 games played. It's important to remember for him that he was a 17, 18-year-old this season playing against grown men. So it's not going to be, his stats aren't going to be like some of the Canadian junior leagues you see. In the World Junior
Swedish Elite League, right?
Yeah, the SHL, yeah. They're Sweden's top professional league. In the World Juniors, he had 3 goals, 6 assists, and 9 points in 7 games played. And in the World Championships that just finished, about a month ago, he had 8 games played, 1 goal, 5 assists, 6 points. And something of note is he's the youngest player to ever represent Sweden at the World Championships, and he was on their top line. I believe he was playing with Stenberg and Lucas Raymond there. In terms of scouting report stuff, I just compiled a bunch of stuff that I saw from different places online. But he's highly skilled, cerebral, relentless two-way center. He's a good forechecker and has a great motor. He's 5'9", but doesn't play small and has learned to absorb contact and play through contact while playing against grown men. He's a good skater, but not the fastest skater. He's got great edge work, balance, and burst acceleration, and he uses these skills to elude defenders in tight spaces and win puck battles. He has quick hands and a deceptive, powerful shot, is good at shielding the puck to make up for his lack of reach, has an elite IQ, and plays a mature, detail-oriented game, and he consistently processes the ice quickly and makes the right reads, elevating the play of his teammates in all 3 zones. My personal take on Bjork is that the Rangers, if he gets to 5, is that, most scouts I think have him in the 6 to 8 range, but if he's available at 5, I think the Rangers should take him solely because if his height started with a 6 in my mind, he'd be a consensus top 3 pick. He's only 5'9", 5'10", but there was a quote Ray Ferraro was saying in the playoffs about Logan Stankoven. He was like, there are some players who, what was it? It's there are some players who are small and there are others who just happen to be short. So for me, Vigo Bjork just happens to be short, but he doesn't play like a small player, So
yeah, but it sounds like to me that he's not ready to come in if he's not successful as far as scoring playing against men. That means he's a couple years away from playing in the NHL. So if you're willing to take that risk, he's as a 5th overall pick. Everybody wants that player to be the guy that comes into the league right away. So I'm passing on that.
Usually, though, the top 2 picks are usually the only guys who come in immediately. It's very rare outside of those first couple picks for a guy to come in right away. But listen, he did have 6 points in 8 games and was the top line player in the World Championships. That's also against grown men.
This sounds like a Capo Caco all over again, personally.
I don't know, because I think Kako was good at everything, but he didn't have too many necessarily elite traits. I don't really remember. That was
Kako didn't play against. What league was Kako in?
He played against men too. He was in the Finnish elite league. But the big thing though with Bjork, I think, is that they say he's got a good motor and he knows how to absorb contact. So in terms of his size being an issue, which is what people say would have been his biggest issue, he seems to have been able to get around that. So as far as forwards, he would definitely, I think, be my pick, but there are a couple other guys too who I wouldn't be mad at.
And what do we got next? Keaton Verhoff.
Funny enough, I did 3 players and then I made a mention of Keaton Verhoff. I said don't pick Verhoff because all the scouts are saying his skating is his biggest issue, and I don't think the Rangers need another defenseman who is not a great skater. He is 6'4" and 216 and a right shot defenseman, so he is enticing. but his skating is, I think, too big of a weakness to warrant that 5th pick.
All right, real quick, what about the other two guys at D?
The other two guys, Albert Smits, he played in Liga. He had 38 games played, 6 goals, 7 assists for 13 points. He also went on loan to the German league. He had 1 assist in 5 games, and then in the playoffs he had 6 points in 11 games. He played for Latvia in the internationally, and he had in the World Juniors 5 games played, 1 goal, 4 assists, 5 points. And in the Olympics, he had 4 games played, 2 assists for 2 points. And in the World Championships, he had 4 assists in 8 games played. He's 6'3", 209 pounds, and he's a lefty. He's known for his mobility, size, and aggressive rush defense. He kills zone entries using his size and reach and his gap control to stop attacks before they happen. He's strong along the boards, good at winning puck battles, forcing turnovers, and clearing the net front. He's also very mobile for his size and is effective in transitions where he can deliver clean breakout passes. His biggest area of improvement is his decision-making, where his aggressive style can sometimes lead him to be out of position, but also with the right development and coaching, that can definitely be coached out of his game. He has flashes of good offensive instincts, but his offensive ceiling is debated amongst many scouts. And he is arguably one of the most NHL-ready players in the draft, with some scouts saying he can step into a role as soon as next season. I think if the Rangers want to take a defenseman, then he's your guy, in my mind.
What about Carrells? You skipped over Carrells.
I have him too. 58 games played in the WHL, 20 goals, 53 assists, 73 points. In the playoffs, he had 10 games played, 1 goal, 9 assists, 10 points. For Team Canada in the World Juniors, he had 1 assist in 5 games played. He's 6'2", 198 pounds, and is committed next year to the University of North Dakota. He's highly regarded for his size, mobility, physical play, and transitional passing. He has great speed, acceleration, and mobility, and has good on-ice vision and makes good breakout passes. He has a hard and accurate shot, but relies more on his playmaking rather than being flashy and high risk. Some of his drawbacks include his decision-making under pressure, where he can force decisions when pursued by forecheckers, leading to unforced turnovers. He isn't the most dynamic stick handler, so he won't be as flashy as some of the other highly touted offensive defensemen in the class. He had 32 power play points, 5 goals, 27 assists, but his style of play might not translate to a power play quarterback at the NHL level. He also tends to have stationary feet on defensive transition while playing too calmly, allowing for fast forecheckers to get by him. So there's a couple of more issues there with him, and also the WHL is in the Canadian Junior League, so it is like the 70-something points that he had. He's not going to be a point-a-game defenseman at the NHL level. I think he's a good player. He'd also be a fine pick as at 5. I just personally prefer Smits because they seem to have less concerns about Smits' game translating over to the NHL level. But either one of them in my mind are a decent pick.
I would say, me personally, I'm going for Smith out of these 4.
Yeah, I'm going with I was going to say that because, I don't know, I'm a little bit out on the junior leagues, especially with like all the other options with NCAA coming in and like these guys playing in the professional league over in Europe. I know it's not the NHL, but it's still, like Isaac keeps saying, they're playing against men. Same thing in the NCAA. There's 23, 24-year-old sophomores, juniors, seniors, whatever, maybe even freshmen at this point. In the juniors, I mean, yeah, they play a lot more games. Maybe they might be putting out more points, but the competition, as far as like we said, playing against men and stronger and being NHL ready, I don't think those players are there. We said it before, drafting out of the junior league, they got to play at least one or a couple, at least like half a season in the AHL, just to learn how to be a pro and learn how to be around like men and like on your own and whatever, blah, blah, blah. I think NCAA and the professional leagues in Europe are a different story.
Yeah, in my mind, like I'd be very happy if they went Bjork. I'd be very happy if they went Smits. Like I'd be fine with either one of those.
With Bjork, I know
with the Latvian.
Yeah, with Bjork too, I feel like the Swedish coaching style and whatever, like their national teams and everything, like most of their forwards or a lot of their forwards, like you have in your scouting report, are good two-way players. And I think that's what the Rangers are looking for and the Rangers need. And that's the kind of player that Sullivan likes to coach, I think. So
Yeah, so I
I
think also like with Smits, the fact that some people are saying he could even be NHL ready as soon as this season for the Rangers who want to retool, not rebuild, to have a guy who's able to step in right away. I feel like that would be very valuable for them. So either one of them.
All right, who do you want to take for this one, Coach?
I got Smits.
All right, go for Smits on this one.
All
All
right.
right, so let's see what we got for the rest of the draft. Bjork went 6th then, right after him.
A lot of guys are saying like don't be surprised if like a couple of years after the draft if they're looking at Bjork and they're like he should have gone a little bit higher. The one thing is that I like he's not like a pure scorer like Cole Caulfield is, but the fact that he's 5'9", 5'10", teams might instead overlook him for someone else. But also the fact that he's a center would help his draft stock too. So it's a little bit of a two-way thing here.
I think, like you said with Ray Ferrara there and Stankoven, I think the Carolina winning this year is going to change a lot of opinions about.
Yeah.
Definitely changed my opinion because Coach Ed and I have been big on that with like Vegas having big guys and like all the recent Cup winners having bigger guys. And Carolina was able to get it done with a good mix.
Yeah,
everyone's got to play big, and that was
in my mind, it doesn't matter how tall you actually are as long as you can play. You know, if you're big and you can't play, in my mind, that's useless. And if you're small and you can't play, that's also useless. You know.
Yep.
Well, that's just common sense, but to me, the shorter guys are bigger risk. Yeah, Stankoven came out, but he could have easily tanked. You got to look at the intangibles. I don't know enough about the intangibles of that kid. So,
I mean, they said he has a really good work ethic in terms of Bjork, at least.
All right, we got up to pick 26 on this simulator, Nick. Let's see who we got or who we can go for here. Liam Ruck. I'm not going to try that one. Juho Piparainen. Yeah, I don't know. Piparainen. And Gleb Pujekyov. I don't know. Do you guys you hear of any of these guys?
I've heard of Liam Ruck only because also he has a twin brother who's projected to go, I think, in the 2nd or 3rd round. But like I don't really know too much. Like what I brought in for the thing was more on the top end of the draft.
Right. No, it's all good. I'm just asking. I mean, none of us are really going to hear about these guys. Let's just hope we could trust in Drury and his team to steal another maybe Gabe Perreault in the lower end of the draft.
And out of all these guys, my vote would be Liam Ruck just because I've heard about him and like
he's on there.
I've heard good things about him, I've never even heard any of these other guys' names.
He's got a twin brother, you said?
Yeah, Liam, and I don't remember his twin brother's name.
So then we got to get him and the twin in the 2nd round, like the Sedin brothers.
Exactly, Liam and Marcus Ruck. They've been playing together, I think, for a couple years, and they're both committed to University of North Dakota next year.
Love that.
Yeah, I mean, I've heard of the other guy, Gleb. Probably I'm gonna butcher his last name. Pachekov. He might get drafted. Yeah, right there to Montreal. He's a scary. I agree with you guys. Russian guys are really scary to draft. Just have them coming over and stuff. But I've seen things of him online, just like the draft videos, and he's a heavy hitter. He's a like how Ovechkin hits. Not saying that he plays like Ovechkin, but he's got the same physicality as Ovechkin. Very like in front of the net, presence behind the net. That's a grinder. Like I like the player, just the Russian part that scares me. Just them coming over and transitioning into the NHL is always kind of. I get flashbacks of Kravtsov.
Yeah,
you got to know their intangibles to pick a guy like from Europe now. That's what I'm learning a lot. I mean, yeah, they could be hard workers and stuff, but they got to be able to adapt. It's a tough transition.
It must be really hard. Nick, let's run one more. I think we got one more before we get into Coach's Corner.
Yeah, we can do one more of the top 5, and then we can go into Coach's Corner.
All right, sounds good.
All right, so we'll run it again with the Rangers.
Also, Vigo Bjork reminds me a lot of Stutzler for some reason. I know Stutzler was drafted I think he was drafted 5th. If I'm wrong.
I think he was 3, right? Because he was behind Lafreniere and Byfield, I think.
Yes, you're correct. No, his game reminds me of him. A little bit of shorter guy, but that two-way like grindy, like forecheck back check guy.
He's grindy.
And what happened to Stutzler? What happened to Stutzler in the playoffs against Carolina?
Yeah, he's still young.
I'm just making a comment. That's all.
All right, go back to the board there quick, Nick. We got Gavin McKenna at 1, Stenberg at 2, Chase Reed at 3, Bjork at 4. So who are we taking at 5? I feel like you got to go Caleb, no?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. 100%.
Oh, if Malhotra falls, then maybe Malhotra.
100%.
It's either Malhotra or Smits to me. Again.
Yeah, I think you got to go with Malhotra with this one.
With Johnny Lads, everybody's been talking about his intangibles. They said he's already going to be a captain in the NHL for sure at some point.
Wow. That's highly touted right there.
I'd be surprised if he gets past Vancouver. I think his dad drafts him.
The one.
Well, I hope Vancouver does take him, and we could get Chase Reed possibly.
That's
true. Chase Reed falls, that would be crazy. The one thing I will say about intangibles is when the Rangers drafted Lias Andersson, they drafted him for his leadership, and that didn't work out too well.
I called that one, Isaac. As soon as he threw that silver medal into the stands, I was like, "It's over.
Yep.
We're doomed."
Yep. But listen, we got Will Cooley out of it, so
yeah, blessing in disguise for sure. All right. Well, that was fun, guys. I mean, Isaac, thanks a lot for that insight. I'm sure we're going to get a little bit more insight from EJ in a little while. But before we get into EJ, let's run the Bella commercial and get into Coach's Corner. Coach has a nice draft-themed Coach's Corner for us.
Hey, everybody. Coach Ed here. I'm over here in the shop at Bella Italia, Marble, Granite, and Quartz. Picking up my order for a nice little bathroom I'm doing. I've been a contractor almost as long as I'm a hockey coach. So listen to me when I tell you, when you want the quality work and craftsmanship, come and see the boys over at Bella. They serve all 5 boroughs, Westchester, Long Island, all the way out to Montauk. Whether you're a Ranger fan, Islander fan, Devils fan, they're going to take care of you no matter what. Make sure you give them a call, 516-561-1018. Let's go, Rangers.
All right, boys, bring it in.
All right, fellas. All right, Coach, with the draft coming up on Friday, what are we looking at in terms of, picking the right player, and what do you got for us?
Well, a couple of weeks ago, I encourage you guys to always try and listen to, if you're driving around on Saturday or Sunday morning, they have the Prospect Show. And the 1 hour of it is all about analytics and statisticians and all that information, and how the NHL teams, some of them are incorporating a lot, some of them are in between on it. So each team has a different point of view about it. But the one thing I found interesting, like 2 weeks ago, was like insane. You listen to this, they're getting more into the science of kids in the juniors at 15 to 17-year-olds. They're testing their central nervous system. When I went on a tour of the Intrepid in Manhattan a couple of years back, and the one lecture the guy was giving was talking about fighter pilots, how they have to test their nerves and how they have to remain calm in these pressure situations. And they were comparing that on the show to having to be able to perform at a high level. Like, for example, there are 100 guys at the combine, like the NFL combine. The NHL is the same thing. There's guys that say there's 100 guys, they could all shoot 85 miles an hour. They could all skate the same speed around the rink, but now they want to test how their muscles react at rest and going, how they react at playing 40 minutes, and how they're going to react under pressure in the third period. So they do all these tests on them physically to see their how the central nervous system with the brain and muscle reacts in real time. When you heard them talking about it, I was like, it's insane what they're trying to do. So not only are they trying to do that, they're also doing tests on their endocrine system to see their growth pattern, if they are going to continue to grow, or if they're going to be stuck at 16, 17 years old. So they're trying to I think they said there are 9 teams that are involved in this right now that are interested in doing it. So they want to see all the biology and the biometrics, the mental capacity, the central nervous system, the endocrine system, and their physical recovery. You guys, I don't know if you know, but I think I've said it before. Like Brian Leach, I compare it to like a Navy SEAL. Like, again, say in the junior league, there's 1,000 players. How do they get to that next level? These guys are gifted, and their body is natural to get to the NHL. There's a reason why they get to that level, and they continue, because your body is a freak of nature. They said it at the USA Hockey Coaching Symposium I did. The guys that get drafted, their bodies are a different level than they're separate. There's a separation point. And like Brian Leach had a recovery rate. He could go out for a minute shift, literally for a minute, sit on the bench, like say Quinn Hughes, I think, is very similar. Sit on the bench for 10 seconds, take a deep breath, and go right back out. So their bodies are a freak. So they're testing on that. And again, that's what the Navy SEAL training is about. They weed out those guys that can't recover. I'm not saying the NHL is going to do that, but they're looking at the body levels of recovery at extreme tiredness and levels of the game that they want in the playoffs, say, and stuff like that. So there's a lot more science going into the draft. Probably more in the later rounds, because in the first round you have the skilled guys that can perform, but maybe the later rounds they're going to do it more. But I just thought it was incredible, the testing they're doing on these kids.
Yeah, they were. I think part of the last CBA, it kicks in this year, is that they're not allowed to do any more of the like weightlifting testing, like pull-ups and like all that stuff at training camp anymore. So I wonder if they're going to start incorporating. Yeah. Not like anything official. Like, I'm sure teams are still going to have like their own ways of finding out if you're in shape or not, but there's no like official like testing anymore as of this upcoming training camp. So I wonder if they're going to kind of incorporate this though into it, with more of like the chips that they put into like the jerseys and shoulder pads and stuff like that. But yeah, that's super interesting. Might have to send some information over to EA the PA to see how she feels about it. Maybe she can come on for an episode.
Yeah, I was like listening to it driving on Ocean Parkway. I was like, this is insane. And they also want to see, like I always say about these goals saved above expected, goals scored above expected, all these stats. What's the situation they're in? Is it under a pressure situation? Are they down a goal? Is it a tie game? What is the situation? They want to see how players react in those situations. Like like Isaac was saying before, this kid scored in the junior leagues. All right, what was the game situation? Did he get Panarin-like goals that were like just useless points? Or were they more game-tying goals with 2 minutes left? How did he react under pressure against the other team's best line, against the other team's hardest checking line? So those kind of stats are the weights that I would personally like to look at. I don't have time to, but if I had to, I would say I want to know this.
Well, we got one now. So Isaac's got a lot of pressure for this upcoming regular season. It's very interesting, and I agree with you, because that's what I was kind of hinting towards with the junior league is like, yeah, I mean, like you see highlights and stuff. Like a lot of the time, like I'm sitting there like thinking to myself, like, what the hell was that defenseman doing? Or that goalie should have had that one. I mean, there's a lot of like, yeah, it's very flashy plays, very good plays. But you don't see like you see more of like the hockey plays in like NCAA and the professional leagues in Europe, like I was saying before. But yeah, that's
Yeah, don't get me wrong. The junior leagues are good. Like Crosby came out of the junior league, but he's an elite player. Like I said, the top 5 or 6 guys are always going to succeed.
That was a different.
But when you
that was a different
when
era.
you're looking
though,
in
right,
the draft at other players, other players down the line, that's how you could separate who you're going to pick.
Yeah. NCAA's come a long way. I don't know, but when Crosby was playing, I don't know if it was there yet. I mean, I know Paul Correa was NCAA, and there were players back in the day, but Crosby's era was really when like the junior leagues or like whatever national development camp or bust type situation. I feel like, unless you were also really good at NCAA, which was a little bit more rare. I feel like in those days, like the 2000s.
Well, put it this way: when I was at Providence College, 1981, they just won the ECAC. I used to go to the field house and work out with the hockey players. We're all in there. Not with them, but we're all in the same room. Now you look at these facilities they have, and you talk about the science of the machines and everything else they have access to, massage rooms, dietitians, all the science that's going into it is, I guess it's 45 years ago, obviously, but it's a big difference now as far as their facilities.
Yeah, all the NCAA facilities are unbelievable. I mean, Spit and Chicklets does a great job covering some of those. Like University of Maine just redid theirs. I was actually there for work recently. They renovated the old facility, so they kept like the ceiling of like the old barn, so it still has like that like University of Maine feel, but everything else around it was all renovated and nice. So but the teams, like those programs, are doing an unbelievable job with the facilities, and now I feel like I keep picking on the junior leagues. They got to do something to catch up. I feel like a lot of the junior leagues or the owners are a little corrupt, where they pocket a lot of the profits. Obviously, all the schools are reinvesting into the programs and putting together these amazing facilities to recruit more talent. I think
then they get the alumni too.
Do that now. What?
Yeah, they get the alumni donations too. So
of course,
monies are more.
And now the NIL and everything. But like, I mean, NCAA and colleges print money. I mean, Boston College's tuition now is $100,000, which is insane. Like a year. So, they literally just print money. I went to Loyola. I think that cost $75 now. It did not cost that much when I was there.
It was 62, I think.
Yeah. Well, obviously we had grants and other stuff, but it's just crazy. Like the tuition and stuff, it's just getting out of control. But that's where they get all the money from. And like you said, the booster clubs and season tickets now, like these programs are selling out their stadiums, or their not stadiums, their arenas. Upwards of like close to 10,000 people. So it's getting pretty cool. Like I said, the NCAA is very exciting to watch, and it's only going to get better and better. And junior leagues are going to have to try to catch up to keep up. And just like the program, like everything, like you said, with the testing and just the facilities and having a workout program, having to go to the gym in the morning as a team, practice and stuff. I don't know how many of the junior leagues or how many of the junior teams are doing that type of thing or as often.
Yeah.
So very interesting stuff. Looks like our very special guest has joined us, so let's bring him in. A man who needs no introduction, but I'm going to give him one anyway. He works for NHL Network.
You guys are too nice. You guys are just
come on,
always
EJ.
nice to me.
Come on, nice. You're overseas broadcasting for NHL Network. You got a show on NHL Network. You're wearing the NHL Network jacket.
Yeah, that's true.
How could we not be? How could we be too nice? You're too nice to us.
Well, I don't know about that. I mean, I appreciate it. Thank you very, very much. So, how you guys doing? What's going on?
We're doing great. We're hanging in.
We're in shock from that news yesterday. That's for sure.
Yes.
How was your Father's Day, EJ?
It was really good, actually. I got to play golf with my oldest son, and nice. Everybody was nice to me for a day, which was good. and then we had a big hockey trade, which kind of screwed everything up a little bit, and makes you start to scramble.
So explain to us how you got the news. Like, what were you doing yesterday on Father's Day where the news came out to you?
No days off for EJ. in the NHL
No, there
Network.
was a day off. I was playing golf with my son, and he looks over to me and he goes, "The Panthers got Brady Tkachuk," and I was like,
Oh, you
"Oh,
didn't get
okay."
like a phone call or anything?
No
No,
one's
I got
letting EJ know.
nobody calling me. Why would they call me?
Elliot Friedman didn't call you personally and say,
No, he didn't. Listen, he didn't know either. Nobody knew.
Yeah.
The teams announced it. That's how, that's the thing. A lot of listen, first things first, Elliot, Pierre LeBrun, these guys, they work hard. They're making calls, they're doing all the work. I used to do those things, so I know how it is. In the world we live in today, where it's out, and then like I said, my son is telling me, everybody knows. It's not hidden, right? And the teams a lot of times announce this stuff first. So the guys who are, paid to kind of get in on this, sometimes they never know, just like us. They find it, like I'm in the same boat. So the world has definitely changed in that regard. And it's one of the reasons I'm glad I don't do that anymore. I kind of have the show I do. I call games, and then like I assess something that happens, and I'll give you my opinion, and I'll talk to people about, to kind of get an informed opinion about it. But it's hard to break things nowadays because they most of the guys get it from the agents anyway, and the agents are pushing an agenda, and sometimes it's kind of almost a quid pro quo type situation. You help me, I help you, and again, I was part of it at one time, so I understand how it works. But different world now, it's tricky. But that's how it happened for me. My son told me we were playing golf. That was it.
That's great.
well, before we get into that, I just wanted to ask you about Switzerland. How was that experience over there?
Well, I was not in Switzerland.
Oh, wait, where was the tournament?
I was doing the U18s, right?
Yeah.
The
I
U18.
thought that was Switzerland.
No, it was in where the hell was it again? It was in Bratislava, and I was calling the games from Toronto at the
Oh, I thought you were
TSN
there.
facility. I was with Tony Granato first, then Brian Boyle, and then Tony came back. But we were we do such a good job now, you didn't even know. I'm not
I
there.
thought you were over there. I was giving
I
you
thought so
kudos.
too.
I wish I was over there too, to be honest with you. That would have been fun. I've been to Bratislava. It's a nice place. Yeah, we did it from TSN Studios in Scarborough, which is outside of Toronto. And the reason we had to do it, it's a TSN property. And so I couldn't do it from Secaucus like I might do some of the games that I do from there. But it was funny because Sean McDonough, who does the games for ESPN, sent Brian Boyle and us a note saying, "Oh, Bratislava, how is it this time of year?" He knew, he could tell because he's in the business. And I said, "Yeah, it looks a lot like Toronto this time of year." So at any rate, that's just the way the business is nowadays for a lot of those games. But
All right,
I'm hoping. I think next year for the World Juniors, if all remains the same, I believe that's going to be up in Edmonton and Red Deer. We'll be live for that, so that'll be fun.
So
Nice.
you think is that something that like COVID kind of like not hurt you guys, but like made everyone kind of think like, okay, we could clearly just do this from home, kind of work from home type of thing?
Yeah, I think that is where, I think people had been thinking about that for a while because everything is about money in this business and in all businesses really, and they're looking to save money wherever they can. I mean, think about this. TNT, the national rights holder for the National Hockey League, one of the two in the United States, called several playoff games from a monitor in Atlanta. So, because I know fans will come at me sometimes like I have the say over what we do. I am like told I am a robot. They say, go here, I go there. That's it. And so I would love to be always in the building, calling the game whenever we have games, but it just doesn't always work that way. But TNT, which has much more financial wherewithal, I would guarantee you, than the NHL Network does, they also call games off monitor. ESPN calls a lot of different games. They do 1 million games, right? They call games off the monitor.
Wow.
The Olympics, sometimes events are called off the monitor. There are a lot of events that are called off a monitor these days. And to your point, it started in that era of COVID. when people couldn't go, and companies are looking to save money. So that's where it is. Hopefully we see more and more situations where we're at the rink. I know during the Stanley Cup final, I was doing the international broadcast with Kevin Weeks. We were at the rink, which was great. So that's just the nature of the business right now, guys. That's all I would tell you.
EJ, so when you're doing it with when you're doing a game with Weeksy and he throws these lines out, you sometimes just look at him and go, "Wow." We do that watching the game. We're like, did he just say that?
Yes, I laugh. I laugh alongside, and I sometimes give him a look, and I try to get him though too, because we have a lot of inside jokes, me and him now, because we've worked together for so long.
He's the best,
and I can get him every once in a while, but he's light on his feet. He's a great broadcaster. There's a lot of ways to be a color analyst in sports. And, some guys are really hardcore X's and O's guys, and that's who they are. And I think Kevin is an entertainer in a lot of ways. Like, he knows the game. He played. I mean, he knows all that stuff, but he's an entertainer. And, it depends on the viewer. I mean, I always say in the business that I'm in, I always compare guys to like a movie, right? We all go to a movie. You like it. I don't like it. Somebody's indifferent, right? With broadcasters that are on, I don't know if there's a rhyme or reason as to why someone thinks I'm good or bad. They just might be the tenor of my voice, the way I look. Who knows? And I've seen it play out over, I won't name the guy's name, but it was a guy that had a job in the New York area over the last, 15 years. And so when he left, guy asked me, why did he leave? And I tried to explain to him, well, they just wanted to go in a different direction, I guess. And he said, well, I really liked him. And I said, well, what did you like about him? He couldn't tell me. He said, well, it was just a feel thing.
Just click.
So exactly, that's what I mean. So to get back to Kevin is an entertainer. He's such a likable guy. And I love doing the games with him. I think we have a lot of fun together, and hopefully that, comes off in the broadcast. But he's terrific to work with.
You guys have great chemistry. I say it all the time, and I definitely catch getting him sometimes too, because he'll just get that little chuckle. It's funny.
Yeah,
that's interesting with the monitors. I guess Kenny Albert doesn't work as hard as we thought he did then, huh?
No, Kenny
I'm just kidding.
You know what's funny about Kenny? Like, it's amazing to me how he can get places.
Yeah.
Like, he'll do a game in like Denver, and it'll be like in a red eye.
That's crazy.
And he's back to, like, it's some of the trips he's been on, because I ask him when I see him, because I knew he might be in LA, and then the next day he's at the Garden. And it's not always easy to do it. So I give Kenny a lot of full marks, and he covers a wide variety of sports as well. So listen, all the guys that do it. Yeah, he does everything. I think he was doing hopscotch down the road tonight. He was doing that. He does everything.
He'll be doing pickleball championships soon.
Pickleball. Yeah, listen, when he gets to pickleball, that's when he may have to hang it up. When he gets to pickleball.
I don't know. He's doing some odd sports in the Olympics sometimes. You hear him doing like hurling or whatever.
Yeah, he's everywhere. He's everywhere.
Last question on that is, like, do you guys have like different viewpoints when you do something like that, or are you just watching what we're watching? It's got to be hard.
No, you know what? When it's the monitor, a lot of times we are watching what you're watching, you know, and the problem is for me is that you can't, like, when you're there, you see all things unfolding, things that are out of shot of the screen.
Yeah.
And like, I like to think, like, my strengths, like, I don't have a big voice, let's say, like Gary Thorne used to have, right? He had that big voice, or John Sterling doing baseball, and guys who have a big voice. I don't have that. At least I don't think I have a big voice. I think what I bring is a passion for the game and a knowledge of the game. And so, like, when I can't see the whole rink, that does hurt me, because a lot of things I might see that someone else may not be quick to see, because I've coached, I've skated, I've done all these different things I've seen a million games, but
more like anticipation.
It's limiting. I said it to Sam Rosen years ago, because when I was first getting into it, and Sam was so generous, and always I've had such a nice relationship with so many guys, and Sam was amongst them, and we were talking about it, and I said it's limiting, and Sam went, Limiting. That's the word. So that's what it is. It's kind of limiting, but it's fun. It's fun to do the games. That's just the way it is.
I mean, it's like I said, we sit up on the bridge when we see you all the time, and
Yeah.
you see plays develop. You see what happens behind the play, what leads to that play, and on TV you don't see that. So I understand what you're saying 100%. And it's, you know, a lot of times you'll hear the commentator go, well, this happened because of that. And if you're watching the monitor, you're really not going to see that. Obviously.
You're not going to see it. You can anticipate some things. I will say this. People think like hockey is the hardest thing to do is hard to do on the monitor. I would tell you that baseball is much more difficult. And the reason I say that is once the pitch is thrown and the ball is hit,
you don't know where it's going.
Could be anywhere.
Yeah.
So I think a lot of times when they do baseball as a monitor, they'll have a second monitor of the entire field.
Right.
But even then, you're really only able to read the fielders because you don't know where the ball is.
Yeah.
You can't see it.
You can't see everything. Yeah.
Most of it, if it's a fly ball. So anyway, you know, we do the best we can with what we have. That's it. Yeah.
Yeah. Very interesting. Well, you do a great job because there's no way it's like you must do a lot of studying because other than like knowing how the players move and like really knowing every player, like you can't really see the numbers on the fly sometimes, and especially on the monitor. So yeah, definitely credit to you guys
figuring
for doing
that out. The numbers are you become a real like connoisseur of uniforms.
Right.
Like, for example, that Ranger 100-year uniform they wore this year with the blue, the like kind of lighter blue with the white number. Great uniform.
Beautiful.
Great. Because you could see it. It was clean. It was a big white numeral on the light blue. Now, the Rangers, when they have the red number on the blue,
a little difficult.
Not so good. Not so good.
It blends in together a little bit. Yeah.
Much harder. It blurs.
Yeah.
So, and then some teams have like a narrow number, like Carolina and Winnipeg have narrower numbers for some reason. And on the sleeves, they're hard to read. So that's one of the things too, that when you do these games, you become really critical of uniforms. And like for us doing the game, you know, it can be a real pain, but I always think about like you go to the Garden, you're sitting up in the, you know, up high. Don't you want to be able to see the numbers?
Definitely.
Like, I don't understand why you would have there should only be one plan. A dark numeral on a white jersey or a white numeral on a dark jersey. It can be any color as long as it's a white numeral. Anything else can be very difficult to see. And hockey is a game, as you guys know very well, is being played at a very high tempo. And if you bring someone to the game, they might not be able to know who has the puck.
Yeah, without a doubt. It's hard. We love it seeing from up on the bridge, like Coach I was saying. But some of the new guys were like, "Wait, who is that again?" Like especially with the Rangers recently,
that's right.
Up some young guys, without a doubt.
Yeah,
we kind of touched on it a little bit with the trade, EJ, but I wanted to more so get your opinion on, I guess, the whole situation, how it went down, and I guess the direction the league might be going, where like the players have a little bit more control.
Well, it's pretty clear they have a little more control, right? Because you know, when a guy has that no move clause, or even if he doesn't, I mean, he just can say to the teams that would want to make a deal, if that player indicates that he's not going to stay there or not going to sign long term there, then you're taking a real risk trading anything of value. So you end up, the player can dictate. In this case, supposedly there was 4 teams that we heard. I think it was Minnesota, Carolina, Vegas, and Florida. But in the end, listening to Steve Stais today, it seemed pretty clear there was only one, and it was the Florida Panthers. So that makes it very, very difficult to get anything in return. I mean, the bigger picture here, I'm going to just wait for the bigger picture to play out with Ottawa, what they're able to do with those picks. Like if they trade them and get a good player in return, then you could make more of an assessment on what they got. I don't think where they are right now, it's really terrific to get the 9 and the 25 and then the first rounder in 2029. I mean, like I don't think they're starting to rebuild again. So for me, I think they're trying
Flip
to,
that.
move those picks. Now,
Right.
if for some reason they hold on to the 9 and Albert Schmitz is still available at 9, they get a big, long left shot defenseman from Latvia that could step into the lineup and play next year. But that said, Ottawa, they needed scoring more than they need more help on defense. Their defense was pretty good. So I'm going to assume they're going to try to trade those picks, and then we'll make an assumption of it. But I'll be curious to see, guys, if down the road one of these managers or owners decides to play hardball and call somebody's bluff a little bit and says, you know what, Brady, you're not going to stay past the 2 years, but we got you signed for 2. You're going to be here for 2 years unless you want to give us more options. And
We
that
need
will
to
be
fill the seats.
like, that will be bad for probably the internal workings of a team to have a guy on the team, especially the captain, and knowing that the clock is ticking down. But that would be, it'd be interesting to see how that would play out, because I don't think Brady Tkachuk would want to go through that for 2
Right.
years.
That's what I was going to say.
And I don't think, he would want to not play either. So I listen, in the end, Ottawa felt like that was in their best interest, and maybe it is. It probably is. But I'll be curious to see, because you're right. It's changing times. Players have more control. And you know what, really, at the end of the day, when these teams don't need these guys, they just throw them out. So, maybe it's good for these guys to have an opportunity when they have leverage. But like the Dylan Larkin one, maybe it just bothers me a little bit more, because Larkin wanted to get paid. They paid him. He got into it a little bit with Yzerman over not making moves. Then so he ruffled some feathers there. Then last year, Yzerman makes moves, and they weren't good ones. Should have made no moves. He would have been better off. He traded for Justin Falk, traded a first-round pick. I can't really imagine why you would do that. But now Larkin wants out. So he's got 5 years left on a contract.
Wow.
What are the Red Wings supposed to do? Are they supposed to go into rebuild again? So it's going to be fascinating to watch some of this stuff play out. And it's good for those of us who cover the game, and those of us who are talking about it like you guys, because there's going to be more movement. It seems like, for sure. It just seems like the movement is to the same 3 or 4 teams. It might not be so great for everybody else.
Yeah, that's kind of what we were discussing before you came on. But that's an interesting point, where it's like the GM's got to take a little bit more control and be like, all right, I guess just stay if you just, that's how it's going to be,
Well,
I think that's calling the bluff in the right way.
Yeah, but it's hard though, because if the team doesn't perform well and it becomes an issue internally, it can be really. I mean, what you'd have to have is ownership that would be willing to stand behind the manager, right? Through thick and thin, and that's not always the case, because if it would be easy then just to fire the manager if it doesn't go well. So
I mean, I feel that like the Dylan Larkin situation has to put a tough situation in the locker room, because now they know he wants to leave.
Yeah.
If he doesn't, what is it going to look like to his team?
Yeah.
I mean, the other thing is the teammates could feel the same way, that the league, that the team isn't moving in the right direction.
Yeah.
But it's going to create an uneasiness, I feel like. The same thing with Connor McDavid in Edmonton. He's more or less putting pressure on, if we don't win him out of here. So that's, that's locker room deal to me.
Again, like for these players, they do want to win. They, in Edmonton, like, I'm surprised they got him to sign for another 2 years, the way they've managed that thing. That's been a disaster. Like, they had finally figured it out, it seemed like 2 years ago. They had a pretty good roster. They came within a game to the game 7. Then they let St. Louis take 2 of their guys through via offer sheets. They go out and sign like guys like Jeff Skinner and Victor Arvidsson and guys who are no longer there. They let Connor Brown leave this year to go to the Devils. I mean, then they make that goofy deal this year for the goalie. So like Skinner, they would have been out from under. Skinner would have been a free agent, gone. They trade for Jari. They take on that money. Jari's got 2 more years left. I mean, like, it's kind of mind-boggling to me, guys, that the guy who ended up getting fired in all this is the coach, because the management group that's been a disaster. The moves they've made. And so for Connor McDavid, he's given them, he signed the 2-year extension. They're
And a
talking
friendly
about
one.
Yeah. I mean, that's right. I mean, he could have asked for more money. And so, listen, I don't know. Like, they're talking about Mike Babcock going there. That's been the big story for a couple of weeks. He's cleared to go there. It hasn't become official yet, so we'll see if it does. But like, I would tell Mike, and he knows better than me, your goaltending is bad. Your defense is weak. I don't care. Scotty Bowman is coaching. I don't care who's coaching. You're not winning. So it's going to be weird what goes on. That's another one. If you're looking right now into the future, if you're a manager, if you're Chris Drury or any of the other managers that are looking, you've got to, keep a light on for the possibility that 97 is going to hit the market, or 34 is going to hit the market out of Toronto, Matthews, or any number of these guys, Werenski, and, there's a number of guys that are kind of, 1+1 year, and then next year after that, they're free agents. So it'll be very fascinating to see how it all plays out.
Well, we just got a little bit of news from backstage here is that Brady Tkachuk will break his silence on the Pat McAfee show tomorrow.
Yes, he's on tomorrow. And listen, I don't know how I would suggest just move on, because he said over and over he didn't want to leave Ottawa. And, at the end of the day, at the time he said it, I'm sure he meant it. But here we are. So, what good is it to go back and, rehash things? He's off to Florida. He's joining his brother there. They have a hell of a roster. They've got to get some things straightened out still. Right now they got no goalie, but with that top 9, maybe they just let one of those guys stand in the crease or something. I don't know. I mean, they're loaded back there. I mean, it's a little crazy.
Defenseman.
I'm sure Mikkola can stand in there. He's like 6'7".
He's a big fella. I mean, so we'll see what happens. But yeah, he's going to talk. I guess they'll be on McAfee show tomorrow, and we'll see what he says.
Yeah, that'll be interesting. But I agree with you. At some point, he should probably just shut his mouth, because last year he got himself. Well, his dad got them into trouble talking about the Senators not playing through injuries or whatever it was. Yeah, the whole podcasting thing while you're still playing is a tough thing to juggle, I would say. But on the trade topic, I guess, before we get more into draft stuff, the whole Trocheck situation. What are your thoughts? Where do you think he ends up? I mean, Coach Ed and I are big Trocheck guys. We would love to see him stay and maybe guide these young kids a little bit, and maybe not be too far off away from another little bit of a playoff run. How do you feel? Do you think he moves on with the new agent he hired and whatnot?
Well, I think that's part of the plan. I mean, I guess he's got Pat Brisson, who is, one of the top agents. He's had Crosby. He's had all kinds of great players for many, many years now. And he's a guy that can help facilitate these type of things. I mean, there could be a circumstance where maybe Trocheck ends up in Detroit, Larkin ends up in Minnesota, and the Rangers end up with some kind of pool of prospects and picks. From mostly, I would imagine that would come from Detroit, because Minnesota is out of prospects and picks really after they have Charlie Stramel, who was a 4-year college player who's coming off a broken ankle, but he was a guy that was very highly thought of as a 17-year-old. And then during his college career, he ended up moving from Wisconsin to Michigan State. He finished up really strong, but he did end up breaking his ankle at the end of last year. But he's, I think, a prospect at this point still. So that could be something, because, Detroit's in a pickle, because they got to, if they decide to trade Larkin, they're not looking to, if they could get Trocheck, at least it gives them a centerman. So maybe there's a 3-way type trade there. I mean, the Rangers have a lot of cap space. I'm kind of with you guys, though. I mean, the Rangers are in such a weird spot, because, they have such a good goalie, and then they went out and got, Miller, and, they still have Zibanejad, and they've got, Fox. They've got, I don't think they're a team that really wants to necessarily go into a total rebuild. So trading Trocheck, what do you get for him? I think you're probably looking at getting prospects, picks. I don't think you're getting, a significant player, especially, when you trade centers. I mean, centers and defensemen are the most valuable pieces. So, I mean, for some reason, I feel like if he could be tied to a Larkin thing, and he could end up in Detroit, but I guess time will tell.
Is there a world
I just don't understand, like
Go
you
ahead.
said, EJ, like Edmonton let these guys go. They were part of the team. Like I feel that's what Trocheck is. If they feel they're a year or two away, he could definitely contribute and be part of that for 2 years. Not away from winning the cup, but I mean being in contention and
Well, who do they?
competing.
That's the thing, right? Is who do they
Who are you
have
going to put in his spot?
Exactly. Who do they have to replace them? They're not getting guys, in return in a deal like that. And you look at the free agent market. I mean, I don't see really any. There's Alex Tuck, and then it starts. I was writing down the list of guys. I mean, Boone Jenner, he's in his 30s. Anthony Mantha had the one good year last year. I mean, you could bring Matt Zuccarello back for one last hurrah with the Rangers. I'm sure a lot of Ranger fans would love that because they love Zook, and he's still a really good player. But
he was one of Minnesota's best players.
Yeah. So
in the playoffs last year.
But at any rate, I mean, I just think the Rangers are in such a strange spot. I think it's almost like make smart moves, maybe get picks and prospects with the idea of creating cap flexibility for the opportunity to get in on 97 if you were to become available. I mean, that's it, right? I mean, now
that's the only reason why I let Trocheck go. If that's your plan long term,
I'll give you a little bit of. This is just something I had heard from someone who knows McDavid. That
is this breaking on the Rangers Ed podcast?
Well, it's just preferred. Again, this is hearsay evidence, as they say.
Hearsay from EJ Hradek, though.
This is Law and Order. Hearsay evidence is that Philadelphia and Detroit would be two places of interest for 97. Take that for what it is. Now,
I don't know if I can handle Philly, EJ. I don't know.
New York is still New York. And you know what? The fact that the Knicks just won and there was this outpouring, as you guys have seen, of love for the Knicks, that could be a positive for somebody watching that and saying, hey, why would I go to Detroit when I could win and try to win in New York? So, these are, listen, that's all I can make of it now. I think it's a good time if you don't have a team that's ready to push, and they do not, is to maintain flexibility to be there in 12 months, 18 months. If McDavid is going to be on the market, if Matthews is going to be on the market, and lesser guy, Werenski could be like, if these people get on the market, you have to be ready to jump. And so that's an area where that if they trade for picks and prospects, at least you have some things in the hat that you can move on. I don't know how. I was thinking about this tonight. I was talking to somebody in Dallas about Jason Robertson, and I was thinking about the Edmonton Oilers situation. If they had to trade McDavid, like, what does that trade look like? I have no idea what it would look like. Like, you give first round picks in perpetuity until the end of time? I don't know.
Until he retires, you have a first round pick every year until
until he passes. I don't know what you do. I mean, it's crazy when you think about it. Like, because you likely, if you were trying to get him, it's like Florida wanted to get Brady Tkachuk, so they gave away picks. And nobody wants to give away players off their roster that are good players. But in the case of McDavid, you would think that would have to be the case. But he's going to direct again, he will direct traffic. And if he says, I will only go to New York.
We're used to that happening.
So there you go. So who knows? This is just all speculation at this point. The Oilers may have a good season this year. McDavid may love it there. He may sign a long-term contract there. We don't know. But I look at that roster. Good luck.
I know. I agree.
Yeah. Good luck.
Yeah. Well, EJ, it was a little bit before my time, but there was a time where you couldn't think of a possible trade for Wayne Gretzky.
That's right. That's right.
Things could happen. I don't know if cash could be involved this day and age, but I'm sure Dolan has it.
Boy, that would be something. That would be something. But we'll see. Yeah. I mean, listen, it's very possible that he could end up being moved in another year or two just because, again, like I said, they don't have a great roster right now. So we'll see what happens. But I think, again, my message would be for any team that, like, Florida's pushing to win now. They just won the Cup. Vegas is always but these teams, a team like the Rangers, you could go through some of the other teams in the league, flexibility is really important to have right now because you said it at the start, it's a changing world.
Yep.
And New York is still an attractive place. The team isn't so attractive right now in some ways, but they have a world-class goalie. They have a few pieces. Things can change quick.
Yeah, it's going to be an exciting team. They finally cracked the shell or whatever and brought in the young kids. So they're getting exciting to watch again. But I think it's more of a chance of Austin Matthews personally with the relationship with Mike Sullivan and stuff. We'll see what happens there. But you mentioned real quick, this actually wasn't in our prep, but you mentioned Jason Robertson. He was a big topic on our free agency preview last week. Why does he get such a bad rap of not being like an elite player?
Yeah, it's I think some people just feel he's a little soft around the edges for whatever reason. He's when you look at him, like he's a big lanky guy, first of all, but he's not like built like Chris Kreider, let's just say, for example. But the guy does nothing but produce points and score goals. I mean, I think he's got close to 200 goals in his last 5 seasons. He's played in every regular season game going back 4 or 5 years. He's had over 100 points. He's had over 90 points. He had 2 years when he had over 80 points. It's a great question. I don't know what in the world the Dallas Stars are going to do right now because if they sign him, they are then vulnerable to lose a young player like Maverick Bourque to an offer sheet because I don't know if they would have the room to keep him. So I think in Dallas right now, they have kind of moved themselves into a bit of a conundrum as to what they should do. And I'll be very curious to see how that one plays out. But Jason Robertson, if you have centers, he's a complementary piece. Wingers are always complementary players in my mind. But he's a good one because he can score goals. And so, a team like Ottawa, they needed goals last year. So there's been a lot of talk about Jason Robertson, but would he sign a long-term deal to go to the Ottawa Senators? Maybe if they give him enough money, maybe. I don't know. But I think he wants, 12, 13, $14 million. And, when you look at the numbers and you compare around the league, you might say that he might get it. So that's one to watch over the next several days because he can be an RFA. And so, somebody might come in with an offer sheet, but Dallas might just decide, we got to move him. And what do they get? Maybe they do the same dance that Ottawa did. Maybe they trade him for picks and prospects and then try to flip those picks and prospects down the road. But I would suggest that's not always the easiest thing to do.
Yeah, gamble.
Yeah, without a doubt. I mean, everything is. Well, speaking of gambling, let's get into the draft stuff.
All right.
That we know is a gamble in itself.
Yeah.
You keep mentioning centers, wingers, defensemen.
Yeah.
Seems to be a pretty heavy draft in terms of defensemen, and I guess some centers mixed in there as well. Where do you see the Rangers, or what direction the Rangers go in that department? I mean, obviously it depends on who falls where.
Yeah.
But if you were the GM of the Rangers, what would you be targeting right now?
Well, you have the 5th overall pick.
Yeah.
Let's just say McKenna goes first.
Mm-hmm.
I think there's a good chance that Chase Reed, right shot defenseman, might go second to San Jose. Then Stenberg could be a 3rd pick to Vancouver. Chicago is 4th. I don't know which direction they would go. Maybe they could maybe make a trade to try to get they're at that stage now where they're trying to push to out of the rebuild and add pieces. I think the Rangers will likely be looking at a defenseman at that number. The centers like Malhotra, Caleb Malhotra is an interesting prospect. I don't know if he would go before 5. That would be interesting because of the fact that they had his dad many years ago. I'm old enough to remember when they drafted Manny and then they rushed him to the NHL and kind of ruined his career in some ways. So,
so this has been going on for a while.
Yeah, it happens at different times. I mean, sometimes you draft guys and, they drafted Brian Leach and that worked out great, right? So, they drafted Mike Richter and that was great. I mean, they, over the years, they've drafted a lot of players, and some have worked out and done well, and others haven't. And in the case of Malhotra, it was my feeling at that time, I think Malhotra had scored 6 or 8 goals in the Ontario League the year of his draft. And yet there was this push by, really in the media in a lot of ways to have, it was a different landscape with the media guys in those days. You had the pro Coley, Neil Smith camp, and you had the anti Coley. And then it was Muckler was involved. So Sather was probably here. So people, a lot of times there was 2 sides in those days. And I felt like there was a push to get Malhotra on the Rangers, and the Rangers weren't a very good team. And Malhotra had not done anything at the junior level to say, hey, let's get him into the National Hockey League at 18 years of age. So for me, it was not a very smart thing to do. And then John Muckler, I'll go back in history for the older Ranger fans watching and listening, John Muckler then kind of dropped a truth into the whole thing and said, well, he's a third-line center. And everybody was like, huh? Because they thought he was a high draft pick. He was going to be more than that. As it turned out, John Muckler was right. I felt that the Rangers would have been better that year, and I'll end it with this because it's ancient history, would have been better just to have him go back to junior, play his junior year, be a big part of Team Canada at the World Juniors, go through that experience. That was the path at that time for a player like Manny Malhotra. So anyway, his son, though, is a very good player. He could be available there. That could be a piece. I believe he's a centerman. The centerman in this year, there aren't what we would say difference makers right now. There's a kid, Ty Lawrence, who's very a fascinating guy to me. He played in the USHL for half a season, and then he went and played at BU. And he did not do much at BU this year. But BU had kind of an off year, and he came in the middle of the season. But people who were around him at the USHL level just loved him and thought he was terrific. So I don't think, at 5, that might be a reach. But as I say all the time with the draft, if you're scouts and your organization identifies a player and thinks he's the guy for you, you got to take him. So he was somebody that will go somewhere in the top 15, I think. But I think the Rangers are going to end up most likely taking a defenseman, and it just depends who falls there. Maybe it's Karls, maybe it's Rudolph, maybe it's Schmitz, maybe it's Verhoff. Could be any one of those guys that fall in, depending on the order. Schmitz is definitely ready to play right now. Latvian kid, he played in the Olympics. He played World Juniors. He played at the World Championships. He's a big, long, lanky left shot defenseman that I figure is going to play in this league a long time. I don't know what his offensive upside is, but he's going to be a pillar on defense for somebody for a long time. But when I talk about Chase Reed as a right shot kid who kind of came out of nowhere this year, played on the World Junior team for Team USA, I don't want to compare anybody to Cale Makar, but he's a right shot, 6'2.5" guy who skates really well, who gets into plays, who creates, who's only, when you look at the draft, you got to project. Like Cale Makar went 4th overall. He was playing in Tier 2 Canadian before going to college. He spent 2 years in college before he came out as a more of a finished product. You're projecting. So when I see Chase Reed, I see a little bit of that, perhaps that same path. But I think San Jose is going to grab him at 2, so that takes you out of the mix there. But Karls is a really good left shot guy that has a lot of offense to his game. Verhoff is a right shot kid. He went to North Dakota last year. I don't know if I see, huge upside, but I think he's going to be a good player that plays in the league a long time. And, sometimes that's what's there for you. So we'll see. I think they're going to have a number of choices, but if you're asking me, if nothing else changes, I think they're going to end up with a D. Or maybe they would take a shot at Malhotra if he's on the board, because Chicago or Vancouver could pick him earlier. Now, Vancouver is interesting because Manny is now the head coach of the Vancouver Canucks, so we'll see what happens there.
Wow.
Has there ever, other than Gordie Howe kind of being not a coach, but has there ever been a father-son?
Well, we had Dave Lowry and his son in Winnipeg. Adam Lowry, he played for him. I know with the Islanders, last couple of years prior to this year, John McClain was the assistant coach, and his
That's
son
right. Yeah.
played for the Islanders. There's been some of those over the years, not a ton, but there's been a few. Off the top of my head, those are the ones that come to mind right away. But the Lowry one was pretty recent in the last couple of years out in Winnipeg when Dave was serving as the head coach there, and I think in an interim window. And Adam was obviously an important player for the Jets.
I mean, everything points at both the Manny and his son have that great character where I don't think it would affect it. I think they're both level-headed and smart and hard workers.
Yeah.
So
it's always true. I mean, I don't, that would be a question for them, right? Like,
no, I'm just curious.
Yeah, you're right, though. I mean, you're absolutely right. Like, I'm always wary of that stuff. It's like when the Flames had the opportunity to pick T.J. Ginla, I think that was were they going to pick him? I didn't know if that was a great idea because Jerome was so connected with the Calgary Flames for so long. So I always wonder about that stuff. But, the Vancouver Canucks are sitting there. They have the 3rd pick in the draft. They're going to take whoever they feel is the best player. I get a feeling, because I do think San Jose will take Chase Reed. Now, I could be dead wrong on that. They may take Stenberg. Stenberg's a really good player. Maybe Toronto takes Stenberg. I mean, I think they're taking McKenna, but I think Stenberg might be there at 3. And if he is, Vancouver, I would guess would take him at 3, but we'll see.
You really think the first overall pick is that much up in the air?
I mean, until they come and say the guy's name, you never know, right? Yeah. I mean, I like Gavin. I kind of fell in love with Gavin McKenna as a player. I think he was like 15 playing in the U18s, and I saw him play against Team USA, and I just thought he was lights out in that game, just lights out. And the thing I would tell you, what I see in Gavin McKenna is, everybody's looking for comparables. He's not a center, right? So you don't compare him to centers, you compare him to wingers. I think he reminds me a little bit of Kucherov in that he sees plays, he sees the window open and close really fast. And if you can get him with the right guys who can make the plays, because he sees it, he's going to get the puck to somebody right at the right time. That's the special part to me about Gavin McKenna. His hockey IQ, his hockey sense, his ability to see plays opening before others is what's going to make him, if all goes well, a really good player. And so for me, that's why I would take him as number 1 pick. You project he's got the ability, especially with the good players, to get them the puck in good spots and be a Kucherov type driver of offense from the wing. And not a lot of guys can drive offense from the wing. Like Patrick Kane is able to do it. Panarin was able to do it. There's only a handful really that can do it effectively on winning teams. And Gavin McKenna's got that ability. I thought
I heard on the radio that Toronto already told them that they're picking him.
Well, listen, there's a lot of things we hear, right? And most people feel that he is going to be the number 1 pick. But I always like to wait because, nobody's told me that they're going to pick him. And until somebody tells me that, and when they tell me, I'll tell you. But I think that's the way to go. And I'll tell you what, with John Scheika so far in Toronto, who the hell knows what he's going to do? I mean, do you guys think he was going to hire Jim Hiller as the head coach of the Toronto Maple Leafs after interviewing 365 candidates? I didn't. So, so we'll see. How do you guys?
How many did he do a day? He
did a lot. He did a lot a day.
He just got hired. What did he do? 20 guys a day?
20 a day. It was like Wendy's. He used to work at Wendy's in managers, cashiers. Drive-through guy.
I should have got in line, EJ.
You should have got in line.
I told you to submit.
Yeah, Jim Hiller actually worked at McDonald's, so that's why he had the up. What did you guys think of Peter Laviolette going with and taking with him Phil Housley to go to LA to coach there?
Coach,
I love Phil Housley. When the Rangers had him, Pekka, and Phil Housley, I thought it was an all-star coaching staff.
Yeah, That
if I
one
was
year
playing
was
for those
great.
three guys, I would have just been in awe and listened and learned. And I
They
don't
had
know.
Muse too, didn't they have Muse too?
Yep.
He was the fourth guy. Yeah.
The
Or
fourth
the
guy.
associate coach.
I mean,
Well,
I mean, Phil Housley, I think is I like. I mean, I wouldn't want to go to LA and coach, but
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, you
Come
would.
on. Yeah, you
no, I'm
would.
saying
Come
if I was
on.
Peter Laviolette, I'd rather
would.
be on the East Coast. Whatever.
Yeah.
Well, you
there's
might
only
not have
take
many
anything.
options right now.
32 jobs.
Yeah.
Hey, here's
Yeah.
another one I'll throw at you guys because I just got this. How did you guys feel about Keandre Miller lighting it up in the playoffs?
You don't want to know, DJ. I shut the TV off.
Oh boy. Oh
Yeah.
boy. You
It's
know,
one of
I don't understand that. Like, I know, listen, you guys probably watch the Rangers more closely than I do. I have to watch all the teams. But I always say, like, when you got a young, lanky, athletic guy who plays defense, you had a good run with him one year. He had a bad year. Everybody had a bad year that year. And then you just trade him for nothing. For nothing.
Scott
I
Morrow.
don't get it. For nothing. Like I said, for nothing. So I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, me specifically, I mean, I was never the biggest Keandre fan. I always said he had all the tools, but didn't have the tool belt or the toolbox to put them together. To me, I think it was a mental thing. You keep hearing now that, like, oh, he's in Carolina, he doesn't have to deal with the media, he doesn't have. So a lot of it might have been behind the scenes where, like, he just wasn't happy. He did have to take a leave of absence for a little bit, and he never disclosed what it was for or anything like that.
I think I think some guys just mature later, and it might, you know what, in the end, maybe it was never going to work out with the Rangers, and so he goes to Carolina, and the Carolina has a pretty deep team. When I think about, they won the Stanley Cup, so that's obvious, but like they are really, their players are all pretty well supported throughout their lineup. So maybe that's part of it as well. Who knows? But it's a shame because, I mean, that's a guy that should be on your team for 15 years. I mean, because he's got like you said it, he has all the tools.
Yeah.
And I think he's gotten a little bit smarter, and he's maturing. And I would have liked to see the Rangers find that Larry Robinson type guy to work with some of their D over the years, which they have really never had. So
I don't see Keandre worth, what does he get? 8 million? We say this every episode.
7.5, I think.
Yeah. All right, 8 million. But
yeah.
I think he succeeds on a team like Carolina where you watch those guys play all season long. There's no one that doesn't back check. There's no one that doesn't create back pressure. And it creates, for a defenseman, it makes the game and the goalie a lot easier. You put Skinner on that team, he wins the cup 2 years in a row. But he had to play in Edmonton with no defense, and it's a difficult.
Well, you're right about that. It does help. And I think the way they play, too, is like the defenseman there, they're moving the puck north all the time, right? So there's not a lot of necessarily decision making. It's you're getting it, you're moving to the forwards, that's it, and then you're coming up on behind the play. But he's such a physical, like I said, he's big, he's long, he's athletic, and you just hate to, because like guys mature at different times, and you hate to see him. If they were going to move him, you would have liked to got at least something a little bit more tangible for him, but it's over and done with now.
Yeah, I mean, I thought he played fine. But like my biggest thing was like Jordan Staal saying he was the missing piece and got them over the hump. I think that's a stretch, but maybe I'm just a bitter Ranger fan. I'm not sure.
He was a good piece for them. That's at the end of the day. Like, when you look at their D, you had Slavin, and one of the things that goes under discussed about them, Slavin missed a lot of the year. He was probably pretty fresh for the playoffs. He missed like 50 games. So you have Slavin, who's a big part of it. You had that Nikishin, who's another good, big, young left shot defenseman. You have Miller. They had Chatfield, who's somebody they found, and he's kind of a gritty, hard-nosed guy. They had Walker, and I'll tell you, Sean Walker was hitting anything that moved in the final. I was like, this guy's either going to kill himself or kill somebody. And he ended up taking out Carlson with that hit. And then they had Gostisbehere, who I thought was brilliant on the power play as the final went along. I thought he was the difference that got their power play going. So it was their year. Everything kind of fell in place for them, and we'll see where it goes from here for them.
Yeah, it seems like he's excelling in like the team, whatever. Carolina, they just work so well as a team and like kind of win by committee. Like, Slavin's a really good defenseman, but he's not blowing you away on the score sheet. None of those guys really are. And I feel like, well, hopefully that's the direction that the Rangers are going to, just winning as a team and like having like a solid defensive unit instead of relying on just Fox or Gavrikov, because those guys get hurt. Fox gets hurt every season.
Yeah. You know what? I will say this for Carolina, and it all works in Carolina because of Rod Brind'Amour. You
have to be able to plug and play, like, because injuries happen all the time.
Yeah, it all works because of Rod, because he's unimpeachable in that room. He is somebody that lived it, has done it. Like, nobody's challenging Rod Brind'Amour in that room. And like, you wouldn't want to challenge him. He's just he's somebody that really is very honest and direct with his players in the way that he wants to play. And, everything fell into place. That second line was really good. Stankoven, Blake. Blake was a 4th-round pick. Stankoven, Blake, and Hall were great. The Aho line didn't do a ton, but it took pressure. Like, you have to check the Aho line. So then the other second line played well. And then Jordan Staal in the finals, I don't know how many times I've seen a performance like that. 70% in the faceoff circle, 5 goals in 5 straight games, 6 goals in total. He was just off the hook. So, it was just kind of one of those runs. But if they don't have Brind'Amour there, guys, they would have already been through 3 coaches in the last 8 years, because they would have fired guys after losses, and players would be gone, and the whole thing would be different. So they could talk about analytics, they could talk about trades or whatever, and they've done a lot of good things there. And the manager has done a lot of good things, made a lot of good acquisitions, but without Rod Brind'Amour, none of it works.
Do you think he got snubbed from the Hall of Fame today?
I'm thinking more and more that he probably will be in at some point in time. And with the guys that go in now, it's not like the Hall of Fame. It's not a place, where there's like this pantheon of only 8 players, right? There's a lot of guys in the Hall of Fame, and we could argue about different ones. And we all have a different standard, I guess, for greatness and being in the Hall of Fame. I do know the things I can tell you about it is I don't like that there is no transparency. Like, we never hear from the voters. That committee never speaks and tells us why or why not with anything. So I don't like that. And I can tell you, too, from my own firsthand knowledge, there is a little quid pro quo that goes on amongst the committee where, you vote, you back my guy, I'll back your guy. Pekka Rinne got in today, and Pekka Rinne was a great goalie in this league. I personally didn't think he was a Hall of Famer, but David Poile has sway. So David Poile's, you back Pekka, maybe I'll back whoever you're supporting. So I think there's a little of that. And that's gone on for years. The famous story I can tell you is Emil Francis wanted Bernie Federko in. Bill Torrey wanted Clark Gillies in. They're both in now. So and listen, all these people we're talking about, Bernie Federko was a great player. Clark Gillies, you know how I feel about those Islander teams. I won't get that started again. But Clark Gillies was the man. So I'm happy that these guys are in. But like I'm just telling you guys. I'm just telling you guys how it works. That's all.
Well, that's
look. I'm a Ranger fan through and through. I love Clark Gillies, but he's not a Hall of Famer.
So there you go. See, that's what I mean. But we can have these conversations.
He's not a Hall of Fame player.
Like, you know what? You know what we could have, now with Pekka Rinne in, where's Mike Richter?
That's what we
shouldn't he be in the Hall of Fame?
Before you got on.
Yeah.
I didn't think so.
Yeah. Hey, you got a better case today than you did 2 days ago, right?
Definitely.
Yeah.
Well, with that, EJ, we took up a lot of your time, but our producers have been doing a great job, so I want to give them an opportunity to meet you and ask a quick question of their own before we let you go.
I got literally nothing to do. It's the middle of the night. It's storming. They can ask me as many questions as they want.
Oh, well, you're the best, EJ, but we won't do that to you. But
Who
since
is
we're
that,
on the
Joe
goalie
Thornton?
topic,
Is that Joe Thornton on the bottom there? Who's that? Jumbo!
No, it's
Look at that,
it's the guy
Jumbo.
from the Scots. It's the guy from the Scotch Turf
from the lawn commercial.
Oh, there you go. It was one or the other. This is the perfect time for the Rangers to pick up Joe Thornton when he's in his 40s.
Yeah, absolutely.
Perfect.
Absolutely.
Yeah. All right. What do you got?
well, we're on the topic of goalies. We got Dom on the bottom right there. He's our in-house goalie expert. He played goalie in college a little bit. So
where
let
was
him
that?
ask his first question.
I played Montclair State. I actually played with your son. I played with one of his friends, Mark Rudo.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
I know him. You got Dylan Ryan and Anthony Vella, and some of those kids went there.
I played college with Vella.
Yep. I coached those kids when they were 15. I'm surprised they didn't quit.
No, they're good. They're good. Too many penalty minutes.
They are.
Though.
Yeah, well, he gets a little overexcited. All right, what do you got?
No, I want to go back to Florida a little bit with Bobrovsky, and there's a lot of news coming out that he's going to Toronto actually, and they just actually traded for Wall. So, what do you think about that? Is that a set destination for him, or do you think that he maybe tests the markets a little bit?
I don't think anything is a set thing. I think that Sergei Bobrovsky wants to stay in Florida, and I just think he wants the money. So he wants both things, right? So the agent, I believe Paul Theophanis is his agent, and I'm sure that there's a lot of stuff that gets out there to people because it creates, Bill Zito is watching. Oh, look, he may go to, maybe we need to up our offer. We got these guys, we need a goalie. And I don't think any of that really works because Bill Zito's group is really good down there and they know what they're prepared to pay. For Toronto, it's interesting because they seem to be all in on getting back into the mix this year with the things they're doing. And they want to make it so Austin Matthews wants to stay. And they've got some other moves to make. But, you could make a case. They got young goalies. They got Hildeby. They got the Russian kid that just played in the AHL that was the MVP. I'm not going to even try to pronounce his name right now because I will not get it right. But he's somebody. So if you were to go out, let's say, and bring in a Bobrovsky there, to be, and then maybe you move Stolarz out, who's just starting his contract. But, if you do that, maybe you're sending a message to Matthews that, hey, this guy's won multiple cups. And I think it's a really tricky. He's 37, going to be 38. He keeps himself in great shape. I think his heart is in Florida. He's lived there for years. The weather's great. He's won with that team. I think it ends up being how much do they want to pay him? It's a little bit of a game of chicken. I'll be curious to see. I guess the answer to my question for you is I'll be curious to see where Bobrovsky ends up. But if he ends up anywhere outside of Florida, I will question whether he really wants to be there or he's there because that's the best kind of financial offer that he got. So we'll see.
Awesome. Thank you.
You got it.
EJ, I got a question for you before we move on. Don't you think at his stage of his career to take a little less money, he already hit the jackpot, to stay in Florida?
See, you and I are older people. We understand the value of happiness. And I'm with you. Stay right there. You don't have to move. You like the weather. You like your teammates. They like you. You're the Bob. Everybody, hey, Bob did this. Bob did that. They know him. The whole thing. I mean, and he's made $70 million in the last 10 years.
That's what I'm saying. How much do you need?
Well, he obviously wants.
I understand, but to me,
I'm with you. I'm with you. Take less.
The defense. You know the defenseman. You know the team. I don't know.
I'm with you 100%. 100%.
All right, we got Nick below you, Jumbo Nick. Go ahead.
All right, Jumbo.
So,
Jumbo, congratulations on a great career.
Thank you, man. I appreciate it. My time with Toronto was amazing. So it's nice to just be able to hang them up finally.
Yeah.
But I want to ask a bit more about the sportscasting side of everything that you do.
Okay.
You were talking before about calling games off a monitor.
Yeah.
Is it difficult to adjust your intensity levels when making certain calls because you don't get that crowd reaction and everything?
Well, we have the headset on our, on the ears, right? So we're getting the crowd noise in our ears. So
Okay.
we're hearing it,
Interesting.
but it is not like being there. And a great example I just had was I was in Carolina, and Carolina is loud. It is loud. And I had not done a game with that kind of intense noise around me probably since the last Stanley Cup final. Because even the World Juniors, it's not as loud. It wasn't as loud at the XL Center as it was, during in Carolina. My voice got stretched and because it's like when you don't work out for like a year and then you go to lift and you're like, oh, I feel great. And then the next day you can't get out of bed. And that's the same thing with your voice. And so my voice was kind of stretched after like game 2. And then game 3 was rough, but then game 4 and 5 and 6 were okay. So, but to your point, it's when you're doing it off the monitor, the funny thing is, because I started thinking about this, if you would walk into the room where I'm doing the game on a monitor, right? You are hearing nothing but me yelling at the monitor, right? Basically, we're not yelling, but like really intensely calling the game and sometimes yelling. But there's nothing else going on in the room because you don't have the headset on. So it must be really weird for people to watch somebody call a game in a closed room,
Quiet
as
room,
opposed to
yeah.
when you're at the Ranger game, you listen to Kenny, you hear all the crowd, right? So it is different, and it is something you have to consider, and it's important for them to get that sound right in your ear, and it is tricky. I try to, I always say I call the game that's in front of me. I try not to have a million notes. If it's a close game, I'm really dialed into that game. If the game's a blowout, sometimes you start talking to Weeksy or whoever you're doing the game with about other topics around the game. But preferably, you want to focus on what's in front of you because you guys are watching that game. You don't care about the notes. You're watching the game that night. So, you're trying to match that intensity, and it can be, to your question, it can be tricky on the monitor as opposed to being live where you're in the battle when it's live. So
Absolutely.
crazy. Good question,
Isaac, last but not least, on the bottom left there.
Isaac.
Hi. First off, I gotta say I love the Keandre Miller take because I'm a Keandre Miller guy personally.
Okay, there you go.
But my question is more for the draft because I'm personally a fan of Viggo Bjork, and I know that some guys have him going like maybe like 6 to 8, but like in my mind, if he's on the board at 5, purely based on like the talent upside, he played first line in the World Championships now.
Yeah.
And like in my mind, if his height started with a 6, he'd be like a consensus top 3 pick. So
Yeah.
I'm wondering, like,
100%.
what are your thoughts on him? And like, yeah,
he's a competitive SOB. There's no question about that. He gets to the net. He's the thing that I like. When Cole Caulfield got drafted, right? Like Cole Caulfield, we've seen what he does. Cole Caulfield's a shooter, and we know what he can put him on that dot. He could score. He's a shooter. Like Vigo, I don't think he's like that kind of player, but he's really competitive. He gets to the spot. He's got a lot of offensive skills. I think you're 100% right. If he was a bigger guy, he'd probably be, who knows? He might be challenged and be number 1 overall. He's got that kind of competitive fire that he brings to the table. I'll be curious to see where he goes. I think, again, you do have to play it, that does come into it. Now, smaller players have had success, so that might influence somebody, but he's a competitive guy. And if your team is about competitors, if you want to this is what I always say about, when anybody comes in to manage a team or, just like identify who we are. Like in Detroit for years, they were a skill team, right? That's who they wanted to be, a skill team. So when they took a shot on Datsuk in a late round or Zetterberg in the late round, it was a shot with the idea that, like, this is a skilled player that could fit in with us if he develops appropriately. So they take that opportunity. It narrows the field, so to speak. Brian Burke teams, he always wanted those big, strong, bellicosity, right? So it's a big, strong guy is in there. He's maybe going to draft him over the smaller guy. So, like, the question I would ask is, what kind of team does Chris Drury want to have? Like, who are the New York Rangers? What are they going to be in the future? And if you can answer that question as a manager, then you probably know exactly how you feel about someone like Vigo Bjork. If if you're like about like, hey, we love these competitive guys that are just in the fight, and we're not. He's going to be a player. Well, then you take a shot. But if you're like, well, we like to have a certain amount of size, and we want that, then maybe you shy away. I don't think that they'll pick him at 5. I think he'll end up going a little bit later. But that's a good one because, like I said, when you watch hockey games, and that's why I hate like the combine and when people you just watch the games. He impacts the games. It's like when I remember Lane Hudson. That kid impacted games, and he ended up as a second-round pick, and he ended up winning Rookie of the Year, and he's a terrific player. So that kid's got a lot of upside to him, and wherever he goes, he's going to give you everything he's got every night for as long as he can. That's the negative about smaller, like Stankoven in Carolina now. That kid's been playing great, but it's like you guys had Ryan Callahan with the Rangers. He was such a hard worker. At some point, guys who are not that big, they play above their weight class. Their careers are usually shorter because of that. But Bjork is a good player. That's a good pickup by you. He's a heck of a prospect.
Sounds like he's a Drury type player then.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of how Chris played.
Right.
Yeah.
And I would say this guy's got even more jam at the same age than Chris had. But, we'll see. It's drafting is, I sit back, it's my job. We look back and, should have done this, should have done that. I was a scout for a couple of years, years ago, pro scout, but I've gotten to know and talk to the amateur guys a lot over many, many years. It's a hard job. And that's why I say is, identify who you want to be as a team. Like Billy Guerin is that way too. Like he ended up picking Charlie Strammel in the draft, who now might end up being someone they move. But Charlie Strammel, I could see it for Billy. Big, strong, forward, fits the idea of what Billy Guerin is trying to accomplish there in Minnesota. So that's the thing. And when teams don't have an identity, that's when I think they flounder because they have this mishmash of players that don't necessarily fit together. Like I remember asking Julian Brisbaugh one time about drafting players in Tampa, and he said, well, we have this thing, is he a bolt? Can he be a bolt? And he, I said, well, what does that mean? And he talked about the competitive nature and the willingness. Are they someone that's going to commit fully if we give them all our resources to help them get better? Are they going to take advantage of that? What kind of person are they? So I think that's always the thing to keep in mind when you're drafting players is like, who are we as a franchise and who would flourish within our group? And that kind of, it whittles it down a little bit for you, but it is such a crazy thing because these kids are 17, barely 18 years of age, and you're trying to see how they're going to fit in the National Hockey League for years to come.
Yeah. Coach, you wanted to ask EJ about his recent interview on NHL Network?
Yeah, I was watching your show. I don't get to catch it a lot because unfortunately I'm not home from work that early, but you had Rick Middleton on with the sled hockey deal. I thought that was very interesting.
Yeah,
I didn't know he was involved with the team. I remember Rick Middleton, obviously.
Of course you do.
I don't remember. I didn't know he was like the startup of USA sled hockey. I thought that was cool.
It's the craziest story too. I think they did a documentary on that team. I got to find out where it is because I need to watch it because it's a crazy story. The sled hockey team was a disaster, apparently, which I had no idea it was that bad a situation. But it was a disaster, and there was competing groups, and they brought Rick in to coach, and then some of the players tried to get the old coach back, and can you imagine how that would be? I mean, that had to be crazy. And they went to the Olympics, and there was only 6 teams, I think, in the Paralympics, and they ended up running the table and winning it, and just kind of from nowhere to win it. And now years later, they have an unbelievable program, and they have, they're almost unbeatable the last several Olympics or Paralympics. So it's a great story. And it was all, and Rick had no idea. The funny thing, they asked him about it. Like, do you know anything about it? And he goes, oh yeah, I can do it. And then meanwhile, he goes, I had no idea what it was. So But he was a character. That was a fun interview because I would love to have him back.
He said he like instilled like a different type of coaching for sled hockey. Like he kind of just coached them like they were real players in a way.
I think yeah.
A lot more physicality he brought into it or something. He had a really good interview on Chicklets as well.
Those guys play. I don't know if they sled. They have these picks.
Oh man!
And they're chopping each other with these. I mean, there's blood going, and it's.
They're cutting.
EJ, way back when I was coaching Eddie in youth hockey, the coaches of the Freeport organization, we played a sled hockey team, not the USA team. So we're like, oh, this is good. We had to wear the sleds. We put strap up.
Yeah, baby.
We got schooled like you could not imagine.
I remember
the famous story I tell all the time.
Yeah.
They're going down. And all 5 of us are going like this, like we're going to catch them. We didn't know how to stop.
Yeah.
We all hit the boards behind the net, one after another. And the guy just turned. He did like a Gretzky turn. And fired a shot, and it was over. You know.
Yeah, that Declan. I'm so glad I'm remembering is that Declan Farmer is part of the team over the last couple of years. He might be my favorite hockey player ever because if you ever watch him, with both hands, he does. It's unbelievable the things this guy does.
It is.
It is unbelievable what he does. So
and the way they're able to elevate the puck and their wrist shots are so hard, it's crazy.
Back and forth. It's just they're stabbing guys and they're God, it's crazy.
Well, that's another story. So I'm playing, right? I'm on defense, and this guy literally had no arms and no legs. He was, elbows.
Wow.
He's cross-checking me. I turn around, I look at him like, are you kidding me? And I'm like going at it with him. And then they scored. He was distracting me, and the guy just put it. It was like playing
that's his job.
Hard.
That was his job to distract you. He was like the guy. He was like the guy from Monty Python. What do you mean? No arms, no legs. I'm fine.
I'm trying to be nice. I'm trying to be a little nice. I turn around.
Yeah. Hey, listen, you're trying to be nice. You're playing the wrong sport, my friend.
That's it. What a humbling experience, though. Those guys, I give them so much credit.
Yeah. Rick was great, though. That was, I would say, for you guys and for everybody watching, listening, go and find that.
I saw it. Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah, I got to watch it. I'm going to do that tonight because I have nothing else to do after I go. I'm going to go find it tonight and watch it. So thank you.
Yeah.
No, EJ, thank you so much. You've given us over an hour of your time at this point. I know you say you want to keep and hang with us longer, but we'll have you on again. It's a long summer and a long season. You'll be back, I promise.
Wait a minute. So who won in golf? That's what I want to know.
Okay.
Oh, my son won the other day. Like he see, here's the thing. He's going this way. I'm going this way. So but it's as you know, just to spend the time on the golf course is nice.
Well, Coach is still 100%. Trying to break 80, but he thinks he's going to do that by only playing like once a month. So
probably not the case.
Yeah,
probably not.
I gotta say, EJ, I don't know how old you are, but I was in an outing 2 weeks ago, and they go, if you're over 60, you can hit from the senior tees.
Yeah,
I'm like. I did it, and what a difference.
Yeah, say there
what
you go.
What a difference.
You still got, unfortunately for me, though, you still got a putt. Still got a chip.
Well, I'm pretty good at that. But
he's a putter. He can putt.
All right. Well, we got to team up then because I can't
putt. We got to do it someday.
Oh, we'd love to, EJ. That'd be amazing for sure.
All right.
If you can come out to Long Island, we'll definitely host you and have some nice dinner with one of our sponsors and stuff. It'd be a good time.
Okay. Well, I think we got to discuss this.
You absolutely will. Summer. Anytime.
All right.
Love that.
I like it. Well,
thanks again, EJ.
We'll
definitely
guys.
Keep an eye out for all your stuff.
All right. I'm just saying, all right. That's it.
Oh, you're the best. Can't thank you enough,
Hey,
buddy.
Jumbo, congratulations. What a career.
Thank you, EJ. Much appreciated.
All right.
EJ, Ed, this is the one sponsor we forgot. If you're in the city, we got to go to O'Brien's for a little dinner. We got to buy you dinner.
Okay. All right. Well,
next time you're at the Ranger game.
Once we get the season going, we'll figure that out.
Yeah. Your schedule. If you're in New York, you let us know.
Yeah. Hey, listen, we'll figure that out.
Golf first.
Have a good night.
First.
All right.
All right, EJ. Love you, buddy. Thank you so much.
All right. See you guys. See ya.
Have a good night.
Night.
Yeah, you forgot our sponsor, O'Brien's. That's one of our bigger sponsors.
When we were when we took the break for the commercial, I was going to say that before we got off. Thank you for reminding me. But more importantly, thank you so much to EJ. Again, he keeps saying it. No, thank you. That's crazy, unbelievable. Over an hour of his time on a random Monday night. So thank you so much, EJ. You got a lot going on. You're doing a phenomenal job, and yeah, just keep growing the game and doing your thing. And Coach, we got it too, because you can watch EJ's show anytime you want.
I know, Ed, but it's tough.
It's not tough. It's very easy. instead of clicking the button to watch Seinfeld one night, you just click the button to watch EJ instead. It's pretty easy. But anyway,
well, don't say that on the team. Don't say that on the show, because if EJ listens, he's gonna go. He could watch it.
He was backstage that whole time, I think, so I'm sure he got a nice chuckle. Good stuff. Nick's got a new nickname. EJ gave Nick a new nickname. It's unbelievable. Dom had a great question. Isaac got a compliment by picking a sleeper pick out of the draft. Got a nice compliment from EJ. So, boys, we're buzzing. Great job. Great interview. I'll say it again. Thank you to EJ. An hour and 15 minutes of an interview with an NHL Network analyst. I think that's pretty cool, boys. What do you think?
And just to let you three guys know, we had him on our show before Hank got inducted into the Hall of Fame. We had him on our show, right? This is the kind of person he is. We go to the Hall of Fame. We're in the crowd of 400 and some people, and we're walking down the red carpet going to our seats. He yells to us to come over and say hello. We're nobody. We just met him the one time. He gets us he comes over, he shakes our hand. How's it going? How's this going? He what a humble, great person in the hockey world. And then again, I'm at the game up on the bridge. I'm over by where we go to the bathroom where the press is. He's eating popcorn way over by the announcer's thing. He waves to me and comes running over and says hello and has a little 2-3 minute talk before the game starts again. But just awesome. How many people do that? They want to avoid that stuff most of the time. Just Absolutely. A great guy. And now I'm sure if he sees you guys at the game, he'll do the same thing.
Yep, absolutely. He's the best. He really is. He just very humble, very generous with his time. He's lived like so many different lives in the NHL. I mean, we can have all different episodes, broadcasting, scouting. I mean, he's coached youth hockey. He's done a million different things with the game of hockey, and he just continues to do so. And he's very humble, even with the whole weeks thing. Like, they're amazing together. Like, they're not great. The NHL Network's not going to give anyone that job. I know it's not ESPN or TNT, but not anyone's just going to get that job. He does a really good job.
100%,
absolutely, for sure. But yeah, guys, great job again. Really looking forward to some clips to promote this episode. You guys watching tonight on Wednesday, we did record this on Monday, so you might hear some confusing things saying tomorrow or today or whatever we said. It was recorded on Monday. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed it, and we'll definitely have him back. And I don't know, maybe we'll have some golf content. EJ Hradek wants to golf with us. That's unbelievable.
We might have to go to Jersey and golf there.
I'll go anywhere to golf with EJ. That'd be amazing.
Come to my territory.
That's fine. That's where he's from too. So if that's the case, we'll be there.
We'll go to Talercio's for lunch and then go golf.
There you go. Maybe get a sponsor out of it. All right, Jumbo Nick, send us out of here. Let's go Rangers, and let's go Rangers, Ed. Love you guys.
Yes, sir. Everybody remember, in Drew we trust. Have a go on, boys.
Let's go, boys. Love you guys.